Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on the first day of the Under-23 World Rowing Championships. We are perched here on the shores of the Wedau Regatta-Strecke here in Duisburg, which is in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany. The venue here is situated in the heart of the Rhine-Ruhr area. We have more than 600 athletes competing here, all from all across the globe, representing 49 nations in total. We'll see all kinds of racing today, more on the program later, but this is a special event. This is also the first year that we'll see the mixed events at the Under-23 level, having been formally introduced last year at the Senior World Championships in Shanghai. Lots of action on the water. We'll see some debutants making their entry at the Under-23 level, but we'll also see some returning champions from Poznan last year. My name is Tim Pemvliet, and I have the honor to work alongside Niamh Hayes, who is sitting right beside me. Good morning, Niamh. How are you today?
Good morning, Tim, and thank you so much for that introduction. I am doing very well, delighted to be here in Duisburg in Germany for the World Rowing Under-23 Championships. I think everyone is glad to be here this weekend because we're getting a break from the severe heat that we've been seeing all over Europe. So yes, looking at the weather for today, for the first day of 4 days of racing, it's about 16 degrees out there right now. It is just after 9 a.m. here in the morning. It'll get up to around 21, 22 degrees later on today, but very different compared to the temperatures we've been seeing across Europe over the last month or so. It is cloudy and overcast to start and just a light wind. It is a west-northwest direction here this morning, so a little bit of a headwind for the rowers as they go down the 2,000 metre course here in this beautiful venue. So yes, a packed schedule. We have 4 days of racing ahead of us. We'll be getting going in the next just under 2 minutes or so with the first of the racing for today. Today is all about the heats. We'll have a combination of heats and we'll also have some preliminary races as well, and that's exactly what we are going to start off with.
Yeah, thanks so much. We start with the preliminary race for the PR3 Under-23 women's single sculls. You can already see them lining up here as the camera moves towards Susanna Schütze from Australia. She's, comfortable. She looks really relaxed at this stage. As you mentioned, Niamh, a few minutes to go, and our three athletes competing. We just saw them. We have representing Uzbekistan, Dinara Beliania in lane number 1, and Rocio Fraguela Moas in lane number 2. So she's in the middle of that Uzbekistan-Australian sandwich here in the middle of your picture as they get ready and under starters orders from the umpire as we are about to have the first start of these World Championships here in Duisburg. And the green light already, a quick start from the center lane. Look at her go. Rocio Fraguela Moas here, an absolute rocket out of the start. Good start from her, but a nice clean start from everybody in this. And a little bit of a crab here for the Uzbekistani sculler as she recovers quickly, and a fantastic second start from the sculler from Australia with Susanna Lutze there really powering off all three crews off the start in this first race of the day.
Yes, the PR3. So what does that mean? That is, these are athletes with physical or visual impairments who have functional use of legs, trunk and arms. So as you can see, they're using the standard sliding seat. So a little bit different to the other PR classifications that we see. But this is the one para rowing race that we do have at Under-23 level. And it was brought in, the single sculls was brought in for the first time last year at this event. And Tim, I believe this is really their kind of only chance or their last chance to row the singles in PR3.
Yeah, that's perfectly right, Niamh, because from the senior level onwards, it's just the mixed double in the sculling event. So there's a time and a place here in Duisburg to get some glory, some personal glory in that single scull. And we are underway, and we can see here the powerful, the long, great connection here by the Australian who is leading and who's building up a handsome lead here. We're not even at 500 meters gone yet, but she's several lengths of clear water water ahead of the rest of the field. And to be honest with you, I think we would expect something like this from the Australian athlete, because she's quite experienced. She has loads of racing at the international level under her belt, but this is the first time and perhaps the only regatta she can go for personal glory as she comes through the first 500 meters. First timing mark, it's a 2-minute flat, and she's well clear of Spain and Uzbekistan at the moment.
Yes, lots of actual pedigree in this race. They've all raced before on the international scene. Susanna Lutz there that we are seeing on our screen representing Australia. We saw her at the Paris Paralympics finishing 5th in that mixed coxed 4. So that's what Tim was mentioning there. So that's a little bit different from the sculling event here that we're seeing. So the sweep is where you have 1 oar. There's 4 people in the boat. So she was 5th there in the Paralympics. We also saw her this year at the World Cup 3, where she won a bronze medal in that category as well, the PR3 mixed coxed 4, and she also represented Australia at the World Cup 2 this year, where she won a gold medal in the PR3 women's doubles.
Yeah, so plenty in the pair. Yeah, you're right, and plenty of that sweep pedigree, and it's great to see her here. She's coached by Christine McLaren, of course, a well-known coach, because she was the first woman to coach an Aussie Paralympic or Olympic crew to a medal at the 2024 Paris Paralympic Games. That was a bronze medal, if I recall correctly, in the PR3 mixed double. And she is all about the athlete. She has that really emphatic athlete-centered approach, and she's really good in sort of making sure the entire surroundings of her athletes are sort of tailor-made so the athlete can perform at their very best. And we can see a great performance from Lutz from Australia here, way ahead of the rest of the field. Behind her, it is actually quite close between Uzbekistan and Spain. After that little bit of a wobble in the early few strokes, I think a good recovery from Beliania in lane number 1. She's not lost contact yet with Fraguela Moas from Spain at the moment. You can see them here going at it stroke for stroke. And a quick mention that the Uzbekistani sculler on the far side of your picture in the blue vest actually won a gold medal in Plovdiv quite recently. That was in the mixed double together with Akbarali Abduvialev, who we'll see in the next race. And here she is competing on her own and doing very well to remain in contact. This is just a race for the preliminary race, so there's no medal yet, but she'll be out there on the water testing her ability and her race plan.
We're going to see a few preliminary races throughout the day today. So that is basically where there are less than 6 entries in a race. And so they still have to go out there and they still have to race. And it's about getting a lane for tomorrow's racing, or Saturday's racing. In this case, they'll have their final A on Saturday. But also we do the preliminary races in case of adverse weather. And so the positions they finish in these preliminary races can be used to determine who gets the medals. But we're not looking at adverse weather, I don't think, over the next few days. At the moment, it's looking okay for the next 3 days at least, maybe a little bit of rain come the last day of racing.
Yeah, which is, as you mentioned, a welcome change to the sweltering European summer heat, which we've been having in the last regattas. We're already past 1,000 meters gone, still Australia in the lead by a country mile. And what struck me when I saw the technique of Susanna Lutz, that she's really long and connected. She really takes the time to place the blades at the front of the stroke, and she gets good connection at the front end. And you can see how much it's given her. Here we ride with Beliania from Uzbekistan. A slightly higher rating from her, I think, than the rest of the competitors. 29 strokes a minute, but they actually evenly matched with Fraguela Moas from Spain at the moment.
Absolutely. And some of these athletes, all 3 are making their under-23 World Championship debut, but they're still quite young. Beliania of Uzbekistan, 17. She won't be turning 18 until the very end of this year. Spain's Fraguela Moas, she just turned last month. She turned 18. So they're quite young athletes here making their debuts at under-23 level. But we did see Uzbekistan and Spain last year at the World Championships in Shanghai. So as you mentioned, Tim, I think that from what I've heard reports, it was very hot and humid over in Shanghai. So this will be a welcome break from that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll relish the conditions here. They race different events with the Spanish athlete racing in the mixed four, so who was sweep rowing at those World Championships in Shanghai last year, as was the Uzbekistani who actually raced who raced in the mixed double, I believe. Yeah, that's correct. Both got a 7th place overall, so both of these athletes won the B final. But I think looking at this immense lead from the Australian, there's almost more than half a minute actually in this as we come into the final 500 meters of this race. And you can see here on the picture how lovely this lake is situated. It's right in the middle of some woodland. It's very green here, and the conditions, despite perhaps not all the athletes really wanting these headwind conditions, the water is nice and flat, and racing is about as perfect as you get at the moment. Into those red buoy areas, we're about to get into the final 250, or at least Susanna Lutze is, because she's been delivering that performance, what we more or less expected her to do here, and can see her now. Not really, well, the highest boat speed of all these athletes, and I think she's just going through the gears and the motion. You can see that lovely run on the boat she has as she comes past the finish tower for the win here in this preliminary race.
That's the thing, these races really, when you have that much control, it lets you play around with how you want to approach the final, which we're going to see on Saturday for these rowers. But it gives you a chance to get used to what you're seeing around you, what the water feels like, and just having that big lead really allows you that opportunity to take it all in and practice everything.
Yeah, and practice everything. You can see here the Spain and Uzbekistan now sprinting towards the line. I think all of them up at nearly 30 strokes a minute, but here is the Australian sculler across the line. I think that's a very strong statement for the A final on Saturday.
Absolutely is. So that is the first of our scullers through on the preliminary race of the PR3 under-23 women's single sculls. Next up, coming into our view very soon, it will be Rocío Fraguela Moas of Spain, taking that second position, coming up into our last few strokes, sitting in that second position up at around that 39 strokes per minute.
Yeah, she really went for a change of gear outside of the picture, because we were concentrating on the finish of Susanna Lutze from Australia, but she actually went up to 35 strokes a minute to beat Dinara Beliania from Uzbekistan into third. Next race out on the course is as you look at the results of that previous race, I think we are already underway in the second race of today, which will be the PR3 men's single sculls. All the way on the far side of the lake, we have 5 crews competing here in this preliminary race. We have Uzbekistan, France, Australia, Italy and Germany, with quite a few familiar names here. And I already mentioned the Uzbekistani sculler, Abdu Valiev, in lane number 1. That's on the left-hand side of your picture. He doubled up with the sculler from Uzbekistan last year, Beliania, on the World Championship stage. He's here competing in the single, and a nice start from all the crews, but perhaps the pre-race favourites from Australia and Italy, that is Sam Stunnell and Igor Zappa from Australia and Italy, respectively, going off quite fast, with a good showing now from the Australian, who actually went for a small change of gear from now basically level with Italy, vying for for the first place. As we ride here with Germany's Jan Rothländer from Rüdeklub Bergdorf in I think the northern part of Germany. He's competing here and having missed the podium last year. He got a 4th overall last year in Poznan. He is here to make amends and get himself on the podium. But strong showing from the green and gold here. A great second 250 from Australia.
Absolutely, and just a reminder that this is still just a preliminary race, so they're racing for lanes here, but Sam Strunnell here seeing what he can get out of himself already at this stage in the race. He is the reigning champion from this race last year, so he would have met a couple of these scullers on the water, including Germany there, who, as Tim mentioned, just finished outside the podium. We have two 16-year-olds as well in this race, Uzbekistan and France. Erwan Chamelot of France making his international debut at just 16 years old here. He is currently sitting in that, looks like we're getting our updated data here to us here, still within those top kind of 3-4 positions.
Yeah, I'd say he's around 3rd place-ish at the moment. You can see the two pre-race favourites definitely ahead of the rest of the field, but it's more or less 3 crews abreast in Germany, France and Uzbekistan. As you can see the lovely picture here, you can see the differences in style. I do like the way Sam Strunnell is rowing his boat. There's a lovely sort of acceleration in the middle part of the leg drive from him, where he really gives that boat a good kick, and he's really making that boat move. You can see the damage he's doing here. We're not even halfway yet, and it's multiple boat lengths of clear water already back to Igor Zappa from Italy. I think Germany showing quite well here now, sort of more securely in 3rd, rowing past the French and Uzbekistani scullers for the places 4th and 5th overall, as we ride with the Australian at halfway.
Yeah, we saw this Australian Sam Strunnell racing already this year. He was at the World Cup 3, finishing 3rd in that mixed double. We saw him last year in Shanghai, finishing 3rd as well in that mixed double, as well, of course, as the gold medal in this race here at the under-23s last year. So he's there going through that halfway mark now and still keeping that rate up quite high at this point with such a big lead. Yeah,
it's a lovely dynamic rhythm, and you can see him here sort of giving that lovely acceleration to his single scull, and he looks comfortable, I'd say. He's definitely making an effort, but it's not going too fast too early for the Australian, with Igor Zappa from Italy some 15 seconds down on the very fast Australian, and more securely in 3rd position at halfway is Jan Rothländer from the Rüdeklub Bergdorf, which I mentioned earlier, but he's not ahead by a country mile. Still Germany, Uzbekistan and France quite close to each other, with that very young athlete you mentioned, the French athlete Erwan Chamelot, who hails from Brittany, I believe, from the west part of France, making his debut here and clinging on to Germany and Uzbekistan. Little change of gear there from Uzbekistan. The 16-year-old Abdul Valiev in lane number 1 on the left hand side of these wonderful drone pictures. He is making a bit of a move and trying to get 3rd out of the hands of Jan Rothländer from Germany.
He may be young, but he certainly has a lot of racing experience at international level, which is unusual, I guess, when you're that young. But that gold medal from World Cup 2 this year, we saw him last year at World Cup 2 as well, finishing 4th in the mixed double, and in Shanghai finishing in that 7th place as well in the mixed double. So, you know, every time you do one of these international races, obviously they're in different venues and different conditions, but every time you get out there and immerse yourself in that international competition environment, it certainly makes a difference, because a lot of the athletes over the next 4 days that we're going to be seeing are making their international debuts, and so it's such a big deal for those athletes.
Yeah, and it's and what a place to have your international debut here on the Wedau Regatta Strecke in Duisburg as we still ride with the Australian, who is, I think, looking a bit more relaxed than at 1,000. He's, he can enjoy the ride. Still, he will be hurting. I mean, the lactic acid will be burning in his legs, lungs, and arms and backs, but he's looking so cool and calm. And as you mentioned, he's quite the experienced athlete, currently studying clinical exercise psychology at the University of South Australia. And that's true for so many athletes here at the under-23s, combining elite sport with a full-time degree at university getting the best out of yourself on every possible level, being it academically or here out on the water. As we ride with Igor Zappa, who is clearly hurting a bit more than the Australian. You can see by the grimace on his face that he's really pushing. He's in second place quite securely. Look at the resurgent Uzbekistani sculler in lane number 1. I think he's closing into the Italian. I think that's a long way to go to overhaul the Italian for second place overall. But it looks to me like he's shaken off Germany and France in this last quarter, coming into the final few strokes for the Australian.
Final few strokes, just about 100 metres to go here in this 2,000 metre race. Definitely not the fastest boat out there right now from the Australian, but again, he's just, he knows what he can do. He knows how much control he can gain over the rest of the competitors, and now it's just about paddling in and not hurting too much so that he can rest and recover over the next couple of days, and we'll see him return again on Saturday for his final.
Yeah, I'm sure with all the confidence he has, having raced so many events, this will also be a bit of a boost for him and he knows if he performs on his level, he'll have a good chance of getting a medal come Saturday. Here is the sprint to the line between Italy and Uzbekistan. Italy are going to take it, I think, but the difference between these two athletes is a lot less than I expected, because at the halfway mark it was more than 30 meters separating these two athletes. But Igor Zappa from Italy takes second ahead of Akbarali Abduvaliev from Uzbekistan, who claims third overall. And then it's a little bit of a match-up between France and Germany. I think the French athlete will take the honours, claiming fourth overall, just ahead of Jan Rothländer from Germany, who crosses the line in fifth. There with a quick confirmation of the results as we watch the replay of the first of two heats in the under-23 lightweight women's single sculls. We have Peru, Norway, Germany and the USA lining up at the start. We have so much to talk about in these races because there's plenty of pedigree. Again, we have debutantes, we have experienced athletes, but they're off. We have the green light, we've heard the buzzer, and we're off. And a good even start all across the board. We have a great first few strokes from the USA, closest to you in lane 4. That's Ila Ersen. And next to her we find Germany, Norway in the perhaps in my opinion, one of the best looking blades of any nation. The Norwegian blades look so good. But as we ride now with Peru, that is Luciana Zegara, and they're off to a great start as well. And we'll have to see how it pans out. But a nice even start all across the board in this first heat.
Yes, this is the first boat class now where we're seeing the heats. So we have 8 entries in total in the lightweight women's single sculls. So they're spread across 2 heats, 4 in this one, 4 in the next one. And the way the progression system works is the top 2 in each heat will go into final A, and then it's the next fastest 2 times of the remaining crews from this one and the next heat combined. So we'll have to wait until after all the heats are done in each boat class before we know who will be in the next round of racing. But at the moment here, leading this one out, it is pretty close at the moment. As you said, USA had a great all start, but it looks like she has had come to just slipping back maybe into 4th position at the moment. It is the German sculler then, Natalie Senjuk, who was 3rd last year, winning a bronze medal in the lightweight women's double sculls, so into the single sculls now this year, and she's looking very fresh here as she moves down the course.
Yeah, it's a nice aggressive style of rowing, I'd say, and she comes off the back of a national success, having claimed 3 national championship titles this year, and she'll be looking to galvanize those performances and put the best here on home water. And at the moment she's making quite the impression. We've just passed the first timing mark at 500, and I think she's a boat length clear on the rest of the field. 2nd at the moment, here is Peru. A little look to the right, or quite a big look to the right, from Zegarra, who is in that 2nd position, well ahead of the USA and Norway, who are basically level at this stage of the race.
Certainly is, and we've seen Zegarra of Peru already this year on the international circuit. She was at World Cup 1, finishing 11th in the lightweight women's single scull. She also raced the under-23s last year and the under-19s back in 2023 in the women's double sculls. We've also seen her at the beach sprints, as we've also seen the German sculler Senjuk back in 2024 in the under-19 women's solo. So some of these rowers here with lots of experience across the different types of rowing.
Yeah, but having experience in those conditions, because coastal rowing, of course, quite different from the conditions we have here on the lake today. But you can see, I think it's wonderful that you see these athletes combining different disciplines within rowing. Of course, coastal rowing being an Olympic event in LA is something to look forward to. But here in the classical rowing, I think it's always great to see these athletes going absolutely all out. And for this athlete, Natalie Senjuk from Germany, she'll be looking to make a statement in this heat, because she knows that in this race the real competition is actually in that 2nd heat, because the world champion from last year from Italy is racing this in heat number 2. So she'll be looking to put a decent performance out here in this heat, just passing halfway. And well ahead of Peru, Norway and the USA, as we ride here, quite rightly I think, with the local favourites, getting plenty of airtime here. But she looks really calm and cool, and she's extended her lead from the second in that 2nd 500 over Peru, and actually quite a good showing now from Ella Ersan from the USA, the Boston University rower, who actually had to transition from sweep rowing to sculling, because she uses to row in the 8s in the States. And here in the lightweight single, quite a different event, but she's doing well, and she's actually creeping back up to the stern of the Peruvian athlete in lane number 1.
What we'll see over the next few days is a lot of the USA team, they're making their first, their international debut. There's a lot of new names out there that we haven't seen racing internationally before. So that comes with its own extra pressure. You know, they're probably well used to racing and training tons in the US. But then when you come to something like this, even the travel alone from the US over to Europe and getting used to this international racing environment, it's a little different. But she's doing really well here now, kind of to stay within somewhat of touching distance between. Just Peru is ahead of her, but yeah, looking with the lovely lead here still at the moment. It is Senjuk of Germany now coming into the last 600 meters or so.
Yeah, and she looks in control control, doesn't she? I mean, she looks really relaxed, and she has the best view in the house. You can see exactly what everybody's doing, and you can see the difference in style. She's quite sort of grippy at the front end of the stroke, and it's a vastly different style from the USA, who was, I think, overrating the rest of the field by about 5 strokes per minute, really going for it, because they know the progression system is different than it was. And what does that change for these athletes, having the 1-2 going straight to the A final, but also having to race for time if you're outside one of the direct qualifying positions?
This is it. You have to race as if it's a final to get a really quick time, because you just don't know how fast the second heat is going to be, particularly when you are in that first heat. So, you know, if you're in the top 2, that's great. But if you're in that 3rd, 4th position, you really have to do your best to get a really, really good time, so that you hope for the best, then that when the next heat comes along, that you've done enough to get through to the next round.
Yeah, and that also means you're not quite sure yet until all the heats have been raced. And that's you can see the American here, a bit of a grimace on her face, looking quite a lot to her left to see where Zagarra from Peru is located, because I think she would like to get into that 2nd position and qualify directly for that A final. But as it is at the moment, with about 250 meters to go, she's still in 3rd, but she's I would say she is getting closer, but not by much. And I'm sure the Peruvian sculler will go for a change of gear when she enters the red buoy area, which she does right at the moment. Still at 33 strokes a minute, so a little bit of a gear to go to, but I think all safe and sound for this athlete from Germany, Nathalie Senjuk, who looks in a commanding position to take that first qualifying position to the A final.
Exactly, commanding position, and we'll see the A finals on Sunday morning for this boat class. So yeah, it's a really great opportunity right now in this heat to see what she can do at the finish when she is under that little bit of pressure, and she is very much holding off Zagarra of Peru and starting to open up even a little bit more of a lead now as she comes into her final few strokes.
Yeah, and I'm afraid we've seen the best of the Ela Erson from the USA, who's dropping further down the order, but here is the finish. You can actually hear the roar from the banks for the local favourite. She crosses the line as we speak and booked her place in the A final on Sunday morning, as is the Peruvian. Look at the delight for Luciana Zagarra, who also knows she is racing the A final on Sunday, and 3rd across the line, the USA, and then Anne Bergene from Norway, which we haven't really talked much about, 4th across the line. We'll see what her time means when we go to the 2nd heat of this field, as we get confirmation here. So actually Norway overhauling the USA right underneath our commentary position. So that's Germany, Peru, Norway, and then the USA. That was actually mixed up again. So I stand corrected. It was actually the USA in 3rd. Next heat out on the course, we have Algeria, Italy, individual neutral athlete in lane 3, and then Tunisia in lane number 4. And all these crews have started quite a while ago, so we jump to the action at 1,000 meters gone. And it's actually pretty close, Neve, between the 2 center lanes. As you can see here on the picture, you actually see that Maria Baricevic, the individual neutral athlete, is going toe-to-toe with the Italian Melissa Schincariol, who is, if I'm not mistaken, the defending champion from last year.
She certainly is, and we've been seeing her racing internationally since 2022, so very experienced for the young sculler. But yes, she is certainly being challenged here at the moment by Maria Baricevic, who we haven't seen her racing since the under-19s back in 2023, where she was in the women's double. So a few years away from that international racing, but she's back now and keeping a bit more reserved in terms of stroke rate at the moment. moment she's down around 31 strokes per minute. Italy up at 32. If we look at Algeria, then that is Lilia Ikram Megudad over in lane 1. That's the left-hand side of your screen. She's down around 25, 26 strokes per minute at the moment. She's currently in that 4th position, but is the fastest moving boat out there right now.
Yeah, that's a great turn of speed. And as we ride here with the Italian sculler, and I thought she looked a bit under pressure in this 3rd quarter. That pressure coming from Barišević, the individual neutral athlete in the lane right next to the Italian. And I think she's trying to put a little bit more distance in the rest of the field now. Shinkario from Italy, making sure that she doesn't have to go all out just yet. As we pass 1,500 meters gone, 3 seconds separating the 1 and 2, and then there's that little bit of a gap back to Tunisia and Algeria. So the race is on at the front of the field. I'm really curious to see what Barišević here in the grey outfit can muster against the Italian. You can see that it's hurting the Italian a bit. She might have expected an easy heat, but she's been getting none of that from Barišević right next to her, who is looking calm and cool. She looks really relaxed, and she's actually getting back. There's now a little bit of overlap between the bow ball of the individual neutral athlete and the Italian stern, and that may be something to worry about come the A final on Sunday, as we ride here with the Tunisian athlete in lane number 4, Yosser Hedli, who is also a coastal rower, actually rowing in multiple disciplines, and now here for the classical rowing. She's firmly in that 3rd place overall, and she's absolutely going for it, looking for that fastest time to get herself into the A final. You can see the grimace from here on the Italian's face, still feeling that pressure. 2:50 to go.
Yeah, and she's upping her rate. We can see here she's up at 33, 34, whereas Barišević of individual neutral athletes is holding on to that 30, 31. But as I say, that she's starting to go up now through the gears here now. Again, at the moment, a little bit of a wobble there, but at the moment, like the top 2 scullers here will be safe through into final A. But this is a great learning curve here to see what they can do up against each other, because there's a good chance they're going to be, alongside each other, or maybe a lane separating them in the final A. And so to see what they can do up against each other, it's a great opportunity right now.
Yeah, and especially the effect this race has on your competitor, because I think that little bit of a wobble is due to the fact that the Italian is being chased so fiercely by the individual neutral athletes, but across the line they come. So it's a solid 1-2 for Melissa Shinkario and Maria Barišević. I think they booked their tickets in the A final, and looking at the times, I'm pretty sure that first heat was a bit quicker. We'll wait for official results, but Italy going through, so the defending world champion from last year has a chance to get another gold medal. Here is Tunisia across the line. Not sure what that time is in the end. We'll have a confirmation of the results in a second for you, as Mouegadat from Algeria at her debut crosses the line as we speak. So I think that time of Tunisia will be around 8 minutes 52-ish. And I think Algeria just outside 9 minutes. In these headwind conditions, of course, not really the quickest of times. And confirmation here, I think, that's Italy and the individual neutral athletes going through to the A final. That's what that yellow marker denotes. And if I am correct, Hedli and Mouegadat will race the B final. So right back in the action, we move from the women's lightweight single sculls into the men's lightweight single sculls. Again, plenty of pedigree in this race. We have Greece, the individual neutral athlete Carneu in lane number 2, then the USA, Tunisia and Moldova in lanes 3, 4 and 5. And we dive straight into the action, little past halfway, and I think this is a full boat race. Again for the 1 and 2 qualifying directly for the A final, so everything's still on the cards, but look at this. I always get a little bit excited for lightweight men's single sculls, but it's because the racing is always top-notch quality. As we ride here with the Moldovan Alexander Matronici, he's currently, I think he might actually be leading this field because he's almost outside of the picture on the left-hand side, but he's doing really well here ahead of Tunisia for sure, and the USA and Mikita Carneo, the individual neutral athlete, which I mentioned earlier, right beside them. You can see it, 4 crews separated by about 2 boat lengths here.
Yeah, so we have 15 entries in the lightweight men's single sculls, 3 heats, and again it's the top 2 from each heat, and then the next 6 fastest times will be going to semi-final, other crews to final C. So it's all about your timing here now, and Greece, Tunisia and USA here up right alongside each other. Individual neutral athletes still thereabouts as well, but they're just coming to their last 500 metres here now. You can see the paint faces and they are absolutely going for it here in this first round of racing. Still being led there by Greece, who turned 19 just last week, winning a bronze medal last year at the European under-23s in this category. We've seen him at the Europeans over the years, but not at the Worlds. But he has a nice lead now as he comes into his last 350 metres.
Yeah, it's a great race from Kaudis, his third under-23 campaign, so he's a seasoned campaigner here at this level, and you can see the tenacity, and he's really going for it. He's built up a handsome lead ahead of Tunisia and the USA with two-time national champion Simeon John from Boston, if I'm not mistaken. He is racing here for the first time at the under-23s and doing really well here. He's losing touch, I think, with that second spot and that second qualifying position to the A final, but he's really close to Mohamed Krimi from Tunisia, who currently occupies that second spot overall, as we ride here with the Greek sculler, who is looking so powerful out in front. Quickest boat out on the water at the moment.
Absolutely, and up alongside him with a nice quick speed, it is Nikita Carneu of individual neutral athletes. We saw him racing at World Cup 1 earlier this year, finishing third in the lightweight men's single sculls, and he was at the European Championships last year as well, the Senior Championships, winning a bronze medal as well. But here we are coming in towards everyone finishing. Coming to the finish line, it is Greece going to take that first qualifying spot straight into the semi-final. And then look at this great race, USA really getting back into it, but I think the second secure spot is going to go to Tunisia. Great time, I would say, from USA. They really came back into it there.
Yeah, fantastic final sprint by Simeon John from the USA, and in the end it was it was about a canvas separating second and third, but we'll see what his time is worth. I mean, we'll be having another look at the times later on, because this was the first of 3 heats in the lightweight men's single sculls, and you can see that they really went for it. But a solid victory there for Greece, and that first A final place booked. As we have see here, confirmation, Mohamed Krimi from Tunisia taking that second spot overall.
And so we move back up the course now to join Heat 2 of the lightweight men's single sculls. Again, we have 5 scullers. We have Switzerland, we have Egypt, we have Palestine, we have Portugal, and we have Germany. And here we are joining them. They are already coming down to about halfway It was Portugal had a nice first quarter of the race. That is Manuel Ferreira, who we've seen racing this year at 2 of the World Cups.
Yeah, look at this fantastic pattern. Look at the fantastic tussle here between Germany and Portugal here, going absolutely all out here on the lake. There's less than a boat length separating Luca Britton from João Sebastiano Veloso, who is currently leading this race. And of course, Veloso, not a stranger to the international rowing scene, having raced in Seville earlier this season. And also a few weeks ago, he was racing at Lucerne. But he was racing the open weight event. He got a 22nd placing overall there. But that was good practice for Duisburg, because he's leading this heat against one of the home favorites, Luca Britton, who is really progressing as he is racing at European and world level at the under-23s. Last year he got a 5th place overall, so he's an A-final contender, I think. And if he keeps this up, he might already book his place in that A-final later this week. But Veloso looking cool, calm and well connected. He looks really relaxed, nice loose shoulders, easy catches as he moves through the 3rd quarter into the final part of this race. Little puff of the cheek, but he looks like he's managing this race really well.
He certainly does, and once again it is those top 2 positions going to be going straight into semi-final. That takes a little bit of the pressure off, so everyone else is having to work hard here now to try and get a nice quick time. Currently in that 3rd position it is Omar Moussa of Egypt. We saw him at the World Cup 3, finishing 10th in this boat class. We've also seen him at under 19 and under 23 level over the years, racing internationally back since 2022. Also a beach sprinter as well. So he's currently in that 3rd position. Not sure he's going to be able to catch Portugal or Germany at this point. We're coming into the last 300 metres now.
Yeah, last bit of the race, and I think Veloso from Portugal really made a bit of a move. It's now clear water separating him from the German Luca Britton in 2nd overall, as we ride here with the Egyptian sculler Omar Moussa, who is doing really well. Also raced at Lucerne a few weeks ago, got 10th overall in the lightweight single, and he's trying to push away the sculler from Switzerland. That is, of course, Dario Schuler, who is making his debut here at the under-23s in Duisburg, proudly representing Seeklub Zug from Switzerland here. And then there's that bit of a gap back to Ghazi Kanan, who represents Palestine in this heat. But the race out in front still being dominated by João Sebastiano Veloso as we ride with him for the final few strokes, as he takes it up to 41 strokes a minute. A little bit of a show, and now he eases off, knowing full well that he has done everything to get that spot in the A final.
Beautiful finish there to the race, and again seeing what he can get out of himself for the next few days of racing. Of course, these rowers will have to go through a semi-final round as well, because there were so many entries before they make any A or B finals. So that is Portugal taking the win and Germany joining them in the next round, which will be the semi-finals, which will be on I was going to say tomorrow, it's actually Saturday. So they have a day off tomorrow where they'll get a bit of training in, no doubt. Egypt then will have to wait until after the next race to see if they have done a good enough time. That is Omar Moussa finishing in 3rd. We have Switzerland then, Dario Schuler in that 4th position, and followed in by Ghazi Kanan of Palestine.
So next race out on the course, race 7 of the day, and that's heat 3 of the lightweight men's single sculls. We have bronze medalist from last year, Luca Borgonovo, in lane number 1, together with Troy Zillen from South Africa. We have Artem Mutujevic from Kazakhstan in lane number 3, and Victor Verbrugge from the Netherlands in lane number 4. And the race just past 1,000 meters gone, actually approaching that 1,500 meter mark. And it's been an interesting race to watch because on paper we would have expected Borgonovo from Italy to lead this, but here we are looking at Kazakhstan leading this race.
Yeah, Borgonova led through the first 500 metres. Kazakhstan's Matusevic was sitting in 3rd position through 500 metres, and things have really turned here now. Kazakhstan, a little bit of experience over the last few years, so I guess no real surprise when we look at the results. We saw him at World Cup 3 finishing 7th. He also raced the World Championships last year in Shanghai, finishing 9th in the lightweight men's single sculls, and he's been racing since back in 2022 at under 19 level. He was in the single sculls, so I guess there is quite a bit of experience when you do look at his results, but yeah, he's currently in that great position. Again, you want to be in those top 2 spots ideally to take the pressure off and get yourself straight into the semi-final.
Yeah, and a great race from the Dutch and the South African athletes as well. Also in this, as we ride with Victor Verbrugge from the Netherlands here in that Hudson Shell. He's actually here, well, racing for the Netherlands, but not officially part of the team. So he was national champion in the Netherlands, and he was given the opportunity to race here, but not as a sort of individual athlete. So he's here basically on his own dime, loving the game, loving the racing, and racing all out to get back to the Italian and the Kazakhstan scullers, trying to get himself closer to the front of the race. A little bit of a steering wobble in the second lane from the left-hand side from Troy Zillen from South Africa. Comes from a rowing family. His brother is also a rower, and he's very proud to be selected here. A little bit of crab actually from the South African, just as I was mentioning him. Rower at the University of Pretoria, and he's found his rhythm again as we ride here with the bronze medalist from last year. And you can see the boat speed here from the Italian, quickest boat out on the water. Luca Borgonovo now trying to claw back to Mutusevic from Kazakhstan, who still looks really comfortable at 35 strokes a minute.
Yeah, with about 250 to go there, Borgonova of Italy just took it up. He's been up at 38 strokes per minute. We do see, like, definitely throughout the junior programs, the Italian rowers are just so fast. They just keep those rates up. We were seeing a bit of a more reserved rate throughout the race, but he really took it up there for the last little bit. Didn't really eat too much distance into the lead that Kazakhstan had over him, but he is securely through anyway into the next round, into the semi-final. The head drop from Borgonova there a second ago when we saw him on screen. Not sure if he's a little surprised maybe at the performance from Matusevic of Kazakhstan.
Yeah, perhaps not his best race, but I'm sure he'll improve come the semi-final. And here is Victor Verbrugge from the Netherlands, third across the line, ahead of Troy Zillen from South Africa. And look at how relaxed Matusevic from Kazakhstan is looking around. So, well, this was quite a good race. And here we are. All these athletes across the line, and we'll wait with official confirmation of who joins Kazakhstan and Italy for the semi-final and who will race the C-final at a later point.
And we're going to move shortly up the course now again on to our next race. This time it is the lightweight women's double sculls. This is back to being a preliminary race now. We have 4 entries, so they're racing for the lanes to see how they are doing in comparison to their competitors, and we'll see them racing. As long as they finish here, we'll see them all racing in the final A, which will be on Sunday. But here we have lane 1 Germany, lane 2 Italy, lane 3 France, lane 4 Greece at 500 metres, it was France leading this one out ahead of Greece, Germany in third, followed by Italy.
Yeah, and what a great race we're having so far. France, the early leaders, but look at the Greeks. And, well, we would expect the Greeks to put on a bit of a performance here. They are defending nation in this event, but with a different crew. And we have Gabriela Lioliu and Pashalina Muratidou in the bow seat there. And look at that rhythm. I'm so impressed with most of the Greek scullers there. From technique to tenacity, the way they race, it's just beautiful to watch. And look how relaxed they are going along at 37 strokes a minute. It looks so fluid, and they look so relaxed as they passed France. France now in second position overall, and then there's a little bit of a gap back to Germany. Both successful athletes from Germany, Melina Reinke and Charlotte Bergmann in the stroke seat, as we ride with the French here for a second. But the German athletes quite successful at the national level and now making the transition to the international stage. France here hurting a bit, I think. They don't look really as comfortable as the Greeks did a few moments ago. Fourth at the moment is Italy, who are dropping out of the pack, to be honest, and they are underrating the rest of the crew, not having the best race here, and the Greeks not waiting for anybody here, still moving further ahead of France and Germany.
Yeah, you mentioned, Tim, there, like their style of rowing, it's beautiful to watch. It's so sharp, it's so fresh, but so relaxed. It's amazing to watch them do it. And, you know, both of them have so much experience. We already saw Mortiato racing this year at the European Under-19s, where she won a bronze medal in the single scull. She was at the Under-19 Worlds last year, winning a gold medal in the double as well. France as well, a bit of experience. We actually have a medalist from last year in the bow seat. That is Rose Galland, winning a silver medal in this boat class at the Under-23 Worlds last year. So they're currently in those I was going to say the comfortable spots, but of course this is a preliminary race. It doesn't necessarily matter where you finish right now, but again, that great opportunity to see what you can do up against your competitors.
Yeah, and great to see Rose Galland from France racing again. This is her third Under-23 campaign. Struggled a little bit with injury in the last 2 seasons, but it's great to see her back at the Under-23 level as we ride with the Greeks, who look so impassive. Just look at these faces. So there is like lactic acid isn't a thing in the Greek squad. So relaxed, so calm, and still ticking it along at 35 strokes a minute. So easing off a bit past 1,500 meters gone. They put over 3 seconds into the French for second. Germany still third, and Italy still fourth. So not much chopping and changing at in terms of order, but a great opportunity for all these athletes to go through the motion, go through the race plan, see what works, and then and a little bit of a call there from the French. I think they're going for a big sprint here.
I think so.
I hope so.
I think so, and we hope so. But you can see, going by their faces, they are hurting that little bit more. It seems like they're having to put in a little bit more of an effort here to stay within that short distance away from Greece. But Greece just obviously train so much to be able to train in such a specific way to be able to stay so relaxed and focused up at these rates for the whole race, like all the way down the course. Now they haven't dropped below 35, 36 strokes per minute.
Yeah, and easily maintaining the highest boat speed together with the French now, actually, but the French over 2 lengths down at this stage with, I'd say, about 100 meters still left to row for the Greeks. They will look to get that confidence that they have everything. They have the race plan, the fitness, the technique, everything they have is conducive to a gold medal, but that is at a later date. The French really sprinting, taking it up to the Greeks, but I think the Greek crew now relaxing a bit and letting the French come back at them.
Yeah, it's going to hurt the French now to do a big sprint finish like that more than it will hurt the Greeks. But they will have that day off now. 2 days off, in fact. We won't see them again until Sunday. So plenty of time to recover after that big sprint. But again, good learning for the French. They'll know what to do now. They'll know they'll probably have to go off that little bit harder at the start to just stay within that touching distance of Greece all the way down.
Yeah, and especially in that second 500 where the Greeks really took off, and I think in terms of the first 500 the Greeks were basically, well, evenly matched with the French, and then they really took off. So impressive performance by the Greek lightweight women's double. They take the honors here across the line as we move to from the women's double sculls to the lightweight men's double sculls. This is the first of, I believe, 2 heats in this event. As we see here, confirmation from this previous race with the Greeks emphatically winning this race. As we move down to the start, we have Serbia, France, Italy and the United States of America racing this first heat, and I think they have already, and here Italians of course defending champions, but that was with a different crew. As we jump straight into the action, Serbia actually leading this. Serbia on the far side, so on the back of the picture, they were leading the USA, France and Italy, who were basically level coming through the 1,000.
Certainly were, yes. Serbia have been strong right from the very start, from 500 metres onwards. They took the lead and going through into the second half of the race. Now they're holding on to about 3 seconds of a lead, but it is the crew from USA who are one of the faster boats moving out there on the course. New to international racing in the bow seat, fielding Stellan and Ryan Natterson, stroking that USA crew. They're in lane 4, so on the very right hand side of your screen as you are looking at them. France then in that 3rd position, right up alongside USA. The French crew there made up of, in the bow seat, Leo Desmoulins, racing last year at the Under-23 World Championships in this boat class, finishing 7th, so winning that B final. And then he's joined in the stroke seat by Alban Del Camon, racing. We haven't seen him race since Under-19 level back in 2024, where he finished 4th in the doubles. So yes, there's 7 entries in total in this boat class. So once again, we're back to that progression system of the top 2 from this heat and the next heat going in straight into final A, and then the fastest 2 times from the remaining crews joining them, and the remaining crews in this boat class then will be eliminated.
You're quite right. As we pass through the penultimate timing mark, Serbia still lead and still hold on to that 3-second lead. So not much in the terms of the lead of the Serbians as we ride with them here. Also looking quite relaxed here, a bit more relaxed than the French actually, who are rowing into view together with the Italians at the moment. The Italians trailing this pack, and right outside of picture the 2 athletes from the USA, both rowing at Yale University, so they know each other quite well, but they will have rowed a sweep of course in the varsity 8s in the USA, having to change to sculling here. As you can see, the Americans there on the right hand side of the picture, currently in 2nd position, but the French really going for it, and judging by the speed of the French, I'd say the French actually now in that 2nd position ahead of the USA.
Certainly looks like it here. We're coming to 200 metres to go, and this is going to be a great race all the way down. Serbia still holding on to that lead, going about 35 strokes per minute. France up at 38, USA down at 35. Are USA going to respond here with their rate? Definitely France, the fastest moving boat out there, and they are eating into the lead here that Serbia have held all the way down to between 8 metres, around 8 metres now.
Yeah, Serbia struggling a little bit in the final 100 meters of this race. The French, despite the grimace on their faces, quickest boat on the water, but I think Serbia have just done enough to remain in the top position, and indeed they do. Across the line they go. Serbia booked their spot into the A final together with France, who were able to manage to shake off the Americans for 3rd, and Italy basically 4th all the way. From the 1,000 meter onwards in 4th. So we'll see, we'll have a look at the times again to see which of these crews will be joining Serbia and France for the A final. So as Niamh already mentioned, 7 entries for the lightweight men's double sculls, and here are the remaining 3. Home favourites, Germany will race from lane number 1. Poland are right beside them, lane number 2, and Moldova complete the field here. And we'll be having a close eye to the German double, because it's the same crew we saw racing last year. And they got a silver medal at both the Europeans and the World Under-23 Championships. And so going really for consistency. And they do look very consistent here, just past 1,000 metres.
They certainly do. They've been winning it through 500, holding on to that lead then through the 1,000 metres. Rating around 32, 33 strokes per minute, and certainly looking very comfortable right now at the moment. It is Poland then in that second position. We do have a returning member from the crew last year who won that bronze medal, Jakub Nierkwicki, in the bow seat. He's joined this year by Martin Wickhaus in the stroke seat, and then currently sitting in that third position, just falling back that little bit. It is currently Moldova in lane 3 on the right hand side of your screen. 2 quite young athletes, Sorgineko in the bow seat, 17 years old, and then Borlak stroking them, 18 years old. We saw him racing at under 23 European level last year in this boat class, finishing 5th, but at the moment it is Germany really dominating here. Yeah,
Germany looking so cool and calm and in control of this race. I think at the moment, so the clear water margin they have over Poland. Of course, Poland being a new combination with some experience in that stroke seat with Nierwicki in the bow seat making his debut here. And you can see the difference between the 2 boats. Germany on the left-hand side, clear water, handsome clear water margin ahead of Poland, who are their nearest competitors. Moldova really outside of a place 1 and 2. So curious to see what the Germans will do here in this heat. I think with the lead they have, it's 7 seconds at 1,500 meters gone. They can just cruise through this last 500 and really sort of relax a bit, or will they go for a little bit of a training session at the moment? Because honestly, if I just keep this pace, they'll finish first. You can see here the Polish crew also not really going all out, I feel.
I would think so, yeah. It's not about, but you're in the top 2 positions here now. It's not about your time. It's just about staying in the top 2. But when you're sitting in third, it's all about that time. Looking across the times from the 1,500 metre mark, Germany did a 5:15. But if we look at the last heat, you can see Serbia, France and USA were all faster than them, which is really interesting. But we do, looking at Germany and how they're racing, definitely more in them, I would say, when it comes to the later rounds of racing.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Germany's still at 36, and looking at the power from the puddles, I mean, they actually go for a little bit of a change of gear. It's not really sprinting. We would expect rates like 40 strokes a minute, but they do put on a bit of a show, I feel, here for the home crowd as they come into the final 100 meters of their race. Poland absolutely easing off, still at 30 strokes a minute, but not really with the same power behind each and every stroke, because they can look at the crew from Moldova, that young and relatively inexperienced crew from Moldova, and be very confident that they won't be caught come the line, and they will finish second and thus go through to the A final. Here's Germany across the line. Great performance by them in terms of time, perhaps not, but I'm sure they have something for the A final. And here is the Polish double gingerly, easily coming across that line for that last qualifying position.
Exactly. So Germany and Poland safe into final A, along with Serbia and France, and then just waiting for times from everyone else to see who will get through with them. Now we move on to our next race and next boat class. It is the under-23 women's single sculls. 20 entries here, so we are spread across 4 heats. So lots of racing to come within this boat class and this category. But right now in heat 1, we have in lane 1 Latvia, lane 2 Austria, lane 3 New Zealand, lane 4 Greece, and lane 5 Ukraine. They've taken off. They're through 500 metres at the moment, looking like Greece in that lane 4 and Ukraine with a nice lead at the moment.
Yeah, look, I think the first athlete from Ukraine we've seen this morning here, and a very strong start by I think Iriana Balasalai on the right-hand side of the picture, going actually ahead of Greece, which is a surprise because Liko Mitru from Greece is, of course, a well-known figure within Greek rowing. At just 19 years of age, she raced the under-19s and the under-23s last year and got a gold medal at both events. So she's definitely one to watch for the women's single sculls as we look at her. And she looks really, well, quite typical, I think, from in terms of technique. They all row more or less the same technical model in Greece, and you can see her looking really relaxed and not really phased, coming to 1,000 meters by that early lead from Ukraine. Going with them, that's New Zealand, Madeleine Cox, who makes her international debut at the under-23s. And that's the 1, 2, 3 at the moment, with Austria and Latvia trailing the pack a bit at a halfway mark.
And the progression system here, we have 4 heats, so it's the top 2 once again in each heat will be going to the semi-final, plus the 4 fastest times across the 4 heats will be going to semi-final, and then other crews will be going to final C and D. So all to play for here, and at the moment Greece still holding on to the lead as we come into the second half. But Ukraine, Irina Batslalai is the fastest rower out there on the course right now. Madeleine Cox of New Zealand going with her as well. So yeah, they're all trying to do their best now to get that really quick time, ideally getting into the top 2 positions if they can.
Yeah, if they can, and a little bit of a wobble. I saw that was my. And when when we looked at the New Zealand Madeleine Cox, Maddie Cox probably, she had a little bit of a wobble after catching a very small crab here. She's still in 3rd position ahead of Freimane from Latvia, all the way on the left-hand side of this picture, who is stepping up from the under-19, so leaving her junior years behind after racing in Trakai last year. I think that was the last time she raced internationally, and now stepping up to the under-23s here, as we have a wonderful picture here from Greece and New Zealand in this 3rd quarter of the race. And I think a little bit of a gap now is established to the 3rd place New Zealander. But look at the sculler from Ukraine really going toe-to-toe with Greece, and that is a bit of a surprise here. She's really putting down the power, Batsalai in lane number 5, and she's really getting close to Greece, and I think a little bit of response is in order from the defending world champion.
I think so at the moment, because like New Zealand is still very much in there as well, in that kind of first pack as well. So there's you can't, with 500 metres to go, there's absolutely no easing off here. But yes, Batsalai of Ukraine really going for it here, really concentrating on those long, powerful strokes. And with 500 to go, looks like she might be putting herself maybe in the lead. I might be a bit early saying that, but Greece there really trying to respond, maybe having to work a little bit harder than what she likes right now. Yeah,
I think she would have expected an easy heat, given the quality on paper at least from all these competitors, but it's really proper power rowing here from Ukraine, and the quickest boat out of the water, and she was creeping to that Greek bow ball, and she's actually getting herself level with the defending world champion. And if I'm not mistaken, she's about to go into the lead, and that would be a bit of an upset here in this early round in the women's single sculls, we're all looking at Likomitru from Greece for that response, and I think she's taking it up a gear, 36 strokes a minute compared to the 31 strokes a minute from Ukraine. So it's a real difference in style, but in terms of speed, here goes the Greek athlete once again, now slightly quicker than Ukraine.
Yeah, she again using this as an opportunity to see what she can do when she is under that pressure, and she is certainly responding. And this little race that's happening here between Greece and Ukraine means they are pulling away from the rest of the field a little bit now.
Yeah, and here she goes. She's really applying the power, Likomitru from Greece in the red buoy area. There's less than 120 meters still left to race, and I think we haven't seen the best of Vara Likomitru from Greece as she now pulls away quite confidently from Irina Batsalai from Ukraine. That's the 1-2. I don't think we're going to see a late challenge from the Kiwi in lane number 3, but here it's business as usual, and I think the Greek athlete was confident that she would be able to pull this off in the final 100 meters. But it's a 1-2 for Greece and Ukraine. It will be Maddie Cox from New Zealand, third across the line, ahead of Freimanner from Latvia. And then it is Linda Weidmann from Austria, fifth across the line.
There we have results from the first heat. So Greece and Ukraine going directly through into the next round, which is a semi-final. Madeleine Cox, Eva Freeman and Linda Weidmann will have to wait. There's 3 more races to come here to see if they'll make a semi-final spot, if their times are good enough. But we are moving on to heat number 2 now. 2 of 4. We have Australia lane 1, USA lane 2, Ireland lane 3, Brazil lane 4 and Germany lane 5.
And of course, the one to watch is the home crew. In this case, it's Paula Lutz, who is on the right-hand side of your picture, and she's really going toe-to-toe with the Irish, which I think will please you, Niamh. I don't know why.
I don't know why either, Tim. Yes, we have 18-year-old Sophia Young there. She's right in the middle of the course in lane 3. We're seeing a great shot of her. She's been leading. It was actually the German sculler leading through 500 metres, and it was after that here where Sophia Young took off and got herself into the lead. We saw her racing at 2 of the World Cups already this year in the women's double with Alison Bergen. They finished 8 in World Cup 3 and 5th in World Cup 2, and we've seen her over the years at under 19 and under 23 levels. So strong showing here from her. Again, you want to be in those top 2 spots ideally to get your direct qualification into the next round. So at the moment it's Ireland and Germany who are looking quite safe.
Yeah, quite comfortable for both the Irish and German scullers, and there's quite a decent gap back to Australia and the USA, and those 2 crews are also, I think, clear water ahead of Brazil at the moment, with Isabella Silveira Fonseca Gomez, who is trailing this pack. And here is the American athlete, of course, that is Cillian Mullen, the former University of Washington athlete, who is racing here in the single, and she's basically going toe-to-toe with Sarah Brook from Australia. So that's a great matchup in the background, but Ireland still leading. We're just passing into that last quarter with Ireland still ahead of Germany, and I think the Irish sculler actually extending her lead ahead of the German. I think ignore the graphic on the right-hand side of the picture. Those are off. It's still Ireland leading ahead of Germany.
It certainly is. You can see Sophia looking over her right-hand side to see how close Germany is. She's down at 30 strokes per minute or so at the moment, keeping it nice and steady. Paula Lutz of Germany on the right-hand side of your screen probably knows at this stage that she's quite safe, so it looks like she's rowing quite reservedly as well at the moment. Both of those are quite comfortable now, and it is going to be USA, Australia and Brazil who are going to be fighting for times here now to see if they can make it into a semi-final.
Yeah, and it's actually the USA now well ahead or creeping ahead of Australia. Brazil, I think it will be very difficult to get through to the semi-final based on time. So she probably raced the C or D final, but that final is also determined by her time here. So it's everything to play for all the athletes, but Ireland still looking imperious. 31 strokes a minute, Niamh. It's a quite low rate of striking, but she's the quickest boat out on the water, putting more distance into Paula Lutz from Germany every single stroke as she comes into the final 100 meters, and she can just enjoy this. Well done, job well done here. Just a few more strokes to go, and she books her place to that semi-final together with Paula Lutz from Germany. I think the USA and Australia absolutely going for it, as you can hear the roar from the home crowd.
You certainly can. I'm thinking home crowd and Irish crowd, no doubt, are out there shouting in the grandstands. But here we have Sophia Young of Ireland booking her place directly into the semi-final. She'll be joining Greece and Ukraine from that first heat. And here we have Germany. Still took it up a little bit, but still looking in control here in that second position. Then it is USA's Cillian Moulin in third, Sarah Burke of Australia in that fourth position.
So quick confirmation of the results with Jung and Lutz going through to the semi-final directly from this race, as we will move to the next race, and that is the penultimate heat in the women's single sculls. And here are the competitors. We have Jongsma from the Netherlands, Ifteni from Romania, Plotian from Moldova, Mitoma from Japan, and of course Butkiewicz, the individual neutral athlete racing in lane number 5. As we ride here with the Japanese sculler in the foreground, and a bit ahead of the Japanese athlete we find the Netherlands and Romania going toe-to-toe here. And it is at the moment the Romanian athlete. Not a big surprise to anybody, I think, that Ifteni is leading this race. But a great performance from Jente Jongsma from the Netherlands as well up there. And they have broken clear of the rest of the field. Quite early, I think, in this race. They built up a decent margin, the Dutch and Romanian scullers, while... certainly from the second 500 onwards, those two, got themselves separated from the rest of the field, and you can look to the rhythm there and the speed from Ifteni from Romania. She's pulling ahead of Jongsma by a full length and a quarter with 1,300 meters gone.
Certainly, there's two separate races happening right there on the water right now. We've seen that across the three heats, really, where there's kind of two dominating scullers. I'm looking at times they're going through the 1,000 metres across the kind of three heats or so, and they're all actually quite similar, 4:01, 4:02. Looking like maybe Sophia Young and Paula Lutz were the fastest so far going through the 1,000 metres out of the three heats, but not much separating them at all. That means that we're going to be in for a treat when it comes to semi-final and final rounds over the next coming days. But like looking at our notes for these athletes that are on the water here, like so much pedigree out there, so many medals between them all, particularly Ifteni of Romania, multiple medalists in under 23 level, under 19 level over the years as well. But Netherlands as well and Moldova, we've seen them racing over the years. Mitoma of Japan making her international debut though, and doing really well currently in that third position.
Yeah, so there's more than one race here in this third heat, but Ifteni looking so powerful out in front, racing the double last year in Poznan, and now back in the single after two very successful under-19 campaigns, becoming a world champion twice in the under-19 women's single sculls, and she's really making a mark here, and that's in the third quarter. And actually, you can see the pain on the face of Jente Jongsma on the left-hand side of your picture, together with the Moldovan athlete Diana Plotian there, who is also hurting. And Romania looking so strong. The Netherlands, I think, safe for that second position, but yeah, not much to choose from for the places 3, 4, and 5.
What's interesting is the first heat between, that was the great battle between Greece and Ukraine. Like, they really went for it at the end, whereas the last heat and this heat, they're much more reserved, which again means we'll probably see quite a bit more out of these athletes in the later rounds when they are under that little bit more pressure. But definitely, I think Greece were under the most pressure so far we've seen in the women's single sculls.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing to see, and I think Ifteni not really being bothered by Jongsma being close to her in that first half of the race, knowing she had that acceleration in the second half, and in the end it's a 2 lengths of clear water margin to Jongsma from the Netherlands, qualifying directly to that semi-final. And very close here between the athletes from Moldova and Japan, and I think it was just it's the individual neutral athletes, I should say, Buchkevich, who slapped the water in frustration, I believe, because she was beaten by Mitoma from Japan, who got third overall, 12 seconds down on Ifteni, which you can see here. And yeah, looking at her, I didn't think she had to go all out here for the win. It was a good race, definitely not a comfortable cruise, but she did what she needed to do to get the result she wanted.
Certainly, and yes, it was Japan that got that third position. But again, it doesn't matter that she's third. She has to wait for the times to see where she will finish. Will she be in a semi-final, be in a final C or D? We then have individual neutral athletes in that fourth and Moldova in fifth.
Next race out on the water. It's that final heat in the women's single scull. We have Spain, Great Britain, Czechia, Switzerland and Portugal. Portugal racing in lane number 5, which is, I think, the crew to the right-hand side of the previous picture. You can see Spain and Great Britain locked in the battle for first and second, but Spain having that really early lead, coming out of the starting blocks like a absolute rocket, first at 500, first at 1,000, and I will be surprised if she's not first come the finish line. But a great race from Megan Knight as well in second, and she's fending off the crew, the athlete from Czechia, Boldisova, right beside her in lane number 3.
And just looking, so it is a 5-boat race, but looking like Switzerland have, not sure if they started, I believe they did, but they're not racing right now on the course. It's just 4 boats heading down. Spain with that lead, very dominating lead here, coming into the last 500 metres. We saw her last year under 19 level winning a silver medal at the World Under-19s in the women's singles sculls. We saw her the year before winning a bronze medal in the double sculls. So she is well used to being up on that podium and looking very comfortable here now. Big, strong second half of her stroke there. Nice, strong lie back. Megan Knight of Great Britain still in that second position again. You know, we've seen her over the years under 19 and under 23 levels. She came out of the double last year into the single, followed by Czechia, who currently is in third. We saw her racing this year already at World Cup 2 in the doubles as well. So there's lots of switching from the doubles into the singles here for these under-23 championships.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful picture here from the drone. You can just see the different styles, a little look of desperation there on the face of Megan Knight from Great Britain. She's really hurting, and she'll every so often a little glimpse to her right to see where the sculler from Czechia, Ela Boldisova, is, and the Czech athlete really pushing on, but it's a decent margin between Great Britain and Czechia at the moment. I don't really feel that the lead from GB is really being threatened at the moment, but Spain still looking so comfortable out in front, underrating the entire field by a few pips, and Esther Fuertecajon from Spain looking set to get that spot in the semi-final, looking so comfortable out in front, really in a class of her own, and she's looking in full control as Czechia starts sprinting early. It will be a big question asked to GB, but I'm sure Megan Knight has an answer for that late charge from Czechia.
Absolutely, yes. Here we come into the last 100 metres. Again, this isn't going by the times at the 1500 metre mark, maybe not the fastest of the heats, but there's nothing separating them really. It's down to mere seconds in those first and second places. It's going to be a great semi-final in the next few days when we see all these top scullers come together. But here, booking her space into that semi-final, it is Fuertecajon of Spain in that first position, Megan Knight then of Great Britain in second, and Boldisova of Czechia in that third. So she'll have to wait and see her time. I think 8:27 I saw on screen a while ago was the time that you kind of had to be, that was your qualifying time. You needed to be within 8:27. Not sure if Czechia have done enough to get into that semi-final spot. Oh, perhaps, maybe, looking like a good enough time there.
8:26 we see on our screens here, but in terms of raw pace, we've seen quite a lot quicker times from the 1 and 2. I mean, the Spanish sculler will be made aware that she was about 9 seconds slower than the previous heat winner. So here we are, I think. So two athletes qualifying directly, and I'm not 100% sure. We'll wait for official confirmation if Ela Boldisova and Madalena Pekka from Czechia and Portugal are part of the semi-final. We'll get back to you on that at a later moment. Next race on the course, we start with the heats for the under-23 men's single sculls. As you were looking at the home favourite, Jesse Ilsemann from Germany in lane 6. I'll just give you a quick lane order. The USA, the People's Republic of China in lane number 2, then Moldova, Uzbekistan, another fast-flying Greek sculler, no doubt, with Nikolaos Kolopoulos in lane number 5, and right beside him we have the home favourite, as I already mentioned, Germany, and it's actually that German sculler who is doing very well for himself in the opening stages. We're about nearly 3 minutes in, and it is Germany leading ahead of Greece and that must be Uzbekistan in lanes 4 and 5, with Moldova, the People's Republic of China, and the USA trailing at the moment. But everything to play for. We are approaching halfway, but that is the order at the moment. Germany leading at nearly 1,000 meters gone.
And in the men's single sculls, we have 22 entries spread across the 4 heats. So similar to what we saw in the women's single sculls, it'll be the top 2 in each heat, plus the overall 4 fastest times across the 4 heats will be going to the semi-final. Other crews to final C and D, depending on their times and positions. But at the moment here, looking like those top 2 spots as we go through halfway. Germany looking very strong. Nice shot here. Looking, again, nice steady rate. We're looking at Germany up at 33, 34 strokes per minute. So still probably another gear to go if needed when it comes to probably later rounds of racing. But then it is the Greek sculler who just finished outside the podium and 4th last year, currently in that 2nd position. But looks like he's under a little bit of pressure right now.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure coming from Greece, which is to be expected. I do have to say I was impressed by the German sculler's haircut. That was something that was impressive from Jesse Ilsman, the Rudergesellschaft Hansa rower, as we ride here with the Greek athlete Nikolaos Cholopoulos, who is absolutely flying at the moment. He was more or less level with Uzbekistan about 500 meters ago, but he's really making a challenge towards that German stern here, as we have a nice overview here with Moldova and the USA in a race of their own, and the People's Republic of China with Liu Mingyu, who is actually having the better of the argument ahead of I would say the American, but I think that's a bit of a perspective issue. The American actually in 3rd overall, ahead of Uzbekistan now. So that's chopping and changing as we move through the 3rd quarter. But at the front of the field, not much chopping and changing. It's still Germany and Greece at the moment approaching 1,500.
Yeah, it was going back and forth there for a few strokes between USA and Uzbekistan. Bud Levy-Munster of USA on the left-hand side of our screen, new to international racing, in that kind of solid 3rd position now, starting to open up a little bit from Uzbekistan. That is Turganov. We saw him racing last year at the Under-19 Worlds, winning a silver medal for himself in the men's single sculls. So making that step up to Under-23 this year. So he's just in that 4th position behind USA right now. Yeah,
and a great rhythm here from Jesse Ilsman from Germany. Nice compact rhythm. He doesn't reach out too far. It's just a very direct placement of the blades at the front end, and he's looking, well, I wouldn't say effortless, but he looks in control, not really feeling the pressure from this young Greek athlete who is going a bit harder over, more or less equal in terms of rating, but a completely different style compared to the German. But it is the Greek athlete now who is showing that little flicker of speed every now and then, closing into that German bow, and then the German responds again as the whole field now takes it up. We're almost at 250 to go, and that means it's time to raise your game for a sprint. The 2 front runners absolutely going for it, and on the far side, China's really making a move here on the USA, closing down to about half a boat length. Uzbekistan, I think, over and done with at the moment, ahead of Moldova, but it's 2 brilliant races in one here. Germany still leading ahead of Greece.
Super race, and then between USA and People's Republic of China, it was USA in that solid 3rd, but People's Republic of China, Liu Mingyu is really going for it here after overtaking USA now for that 3rd spot. Again, it's all about your time when you're in that 3rd and 4th position.
And look at the speed of the Greek here, really going for that German bow ball. Will it be enough, or has he left it too late? It is Cholopoulos from Greece flying towards the finish, and he actually overhauls the German on the line. It is half a length. What an incredible piece of racing here from the young Greek athlete. I think I've seen him do this before at previous regattas, where he sort of lurks within striking distance, and then all of a sudden he goes nearly 20 kilometers an hour. That was mightily impressive. That's almost as quick as some of the junior men's 8s go at full tilt. So well done, Nikolaos Cholopoulos from Greece. He takes the win in this heat here, ahead of of Jesse Ilsemann from Germany. That's the one to the semi-final, and we'll have to wait for official confirmation. But we do know that it was the People's Republic of China who beat out the USA, Uzbekistan and Moldova for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Sorry, I got a bit excited there. So I've calmed down a bit after that really exciting sprint to the line in the first heat, and we move straight back into the action for the second heat of the men's single sculls. We have Serbia, Lithuania, Latvia, Tunisia, Slovakia and Portugal racing, and the Portuguese athletes is the one to watch together with the sculler from Slovakia. Of course, I talk about Diogo Goncalves from Portugal. He's racing in lane 6. He got the silver medal last year in Poznan. He's a very tall athlete. I think 1 meter 90. What is that in old money? Is that 6'5" ish? Well, we'll do the conversion later, but he was a really long and powerful athlete. You can see him racing here, and compared to last year, he looks a bit more technical. I think he's put in a few kilograms of muscle in the meantime, and he's looking really strong out there as we pass 1,500 meters gone ahead of Lithuania. Montvila is now currently second overall, having rode past Peter Strekanski from Slovakia, who is still within striking distance. The former lightweight now racing in the open weight category. He's third at the moment, and then there's a bit of a gap back to 4th, 5th and 6th.
We are gone through well over 3/4 of this race now already. They're flying down to us here now, and again, it's all about top 2 positions. You know, if you can be in there, absolutely great. And it is Slovakia who are really going for it here now, trying to. There's just 3 meters separating them and Lithuania. If Slovakia, Strzekanski can get himself into the top 2 positions, that would just take a little bit of the pressure off, because he wouldn't have to wait for all the rest of the times to come through. He is up at 38 strokes per minute. He has 200 meters to go, and he looks like he is now level, and after moving himself into that second position now ahead of Montvila of Lithuania.
Yeah, it's Baubel for Baubel, and that 39 strokes a minute, that's the lightweight still hiding within Peter Strakanski. He's absolutely flying towards the line, but it's the margin isn't that big at the moment. They're basically level still, and Strakanski has been given second position at the moment with 75 meters to go. It will be a row over for Diogo Goncalves from Portugal here, who takes a little look to his left to make sure he has done enough. But Strakanski from Slovakia, I think, really decisively moved now into second position, but he's not quite there yet. It might be a bit deceptive, this picture, this angle, because it's really close on the line. I wouldn't want to call that just yet. It's very close. Portugal, that's for sure, took that qualifying position to the semi-final. You can see the Portuguese sculler here. I think satisfied with that first race of his under-23 campaign, and we'll have to wait for official confirmation. Unofficially, it's been given to Peter Strakanski, second ahead of Lithuania, but we'll wait for official confirmation here as the results trickle in. But so far it looks good for the Slovakian athlete Strakanski ahead of Montvila from Lithuania. Fourth, fifth across the line, it was Tunisia and Serbia. I think, yes, and that completes the field ahead of Latvia. So that's the 4, 5 and 6. And here there is official confirmation. So it was Strakanski who moves to that semi-final together with Goncalves from Portugal.
So who will be joining Greece, Germany? We have confirmed Portugal and Slovakia in the semi-finals. Well, let's see as we move on to heat number 3 of the men's single sculls. 6 scullers. Lane 1 we've Italy, lane 2 Austria, lane 3 Algeria, lane 4 Hungary, lane 5 Japan and lane 6 Denmark. Going through 500 metres, it was Japan and Algeria with a strong start, but then as we went through that halfway mark, things started to change, and it was Marco Selva of Italy leading this one out ahead of Denmark and Austria.
Yeah, you really need to divide your attention across multiple crews here, because it's a tightly packed heat, this one, with Italy and Denmark absolutely level coming through this third quarter of this race, and in hot pursuit, of course, Austria with Nikolaus Strauss, who is really close together with the athlete from Hungary, with Szigeti. And here is the Danish athlete, that is August Wisholm, no stranger to world rowing events. And I think I've also seen him race at the Dutch Hollandbeker Regatta a few times, where the Danish squad always have a great showing. He's really going now together with Marco Selva from Italy. So that's Marco on the left-hand side of your picture. It's the Danish athlete on the right-hand side of your picture. And it is a fantastic showing from all these athletes. The field now getting separated slightly more, but it's still Italy and Denmark, and where it was bow to bow at 1500, Selva from Italy slightly ahead of Denmark, and then there's about a second and a half gap to Austria, Hungary, Japan now losing that crucial contact with the front runners together with Algeria. But very big look left from Wisholm to see where Selva is, and he is in a race with the Italian, no doubt.
This, no doubt, is going to make this heat pretty quick, because this is the tightest that we've been seeing. It's usually 2 races in terms of the top 2 boats are ahead of the rest, but this is brilliant here between Denmark, Italy and Austria. And again, it makes us excited for what's to come in the later rounds of racing over the coming 3 days. I can't believe the amount of looking these colours are doing. That just shows how much pressure they are under, and really fighting to get into those top 2 spots and get a really fast time.
Yeah, this is some amazing stuff. I mean, the rates go through the roof at some of these athletes. When Hungary is at nearly 40 strokes a minute, trying to get back into contention and also post that fast time for the progression system. But a fantastic sprint now from the Danish sculler. Wisholm now absolutely going for it and putting a few meters, nearly a full boat length now, into Selva from Italy. With 100 meters left to go, it's the Danish race to lose.
It certainly is. Here we go. The looking across for 3, 4, 5 strokes. Yeah. And it's so hard to know because you're at opposite sides of the field here. So it can be hard to tell with that line. But yes, Denmark here holding off the incredible challenge all around him. But Denmark are booking the spot straight into the semi-final, followed by Marco Selva of Italy.
Yeah, wonderful to see the amount of glances going back and forth between all these athletes. I think the only one I haven't really seen looking at Marco Selva was pretty concentrated on his own stern, but this guy, despite winning it, I think he'd be feeling this in his neck after the cool down, because he was like looking constantly to his left for the last 150 of this race. But a great result for August Wisholm from Denmark. He'll be pleased with the win here. 7:23, so we'll just keep a close eye. But he was actually quite fast, I reckon. But given the racing being so close to the Italian sculler, I'm not surprised that it is a quite quick time, this one.
Certainly, and it looks like he gave it his all. He is certainly hurting. Definitely fastest out of the 3 heats we've seen so far, just about ahead of the Greek sculler from the first heat, and they were quite a bit faster actually than the last heat. Portugal won that one out. So at the moment, looking good for Wisholm, but I'm not sure the Greek sculler was under as much pressure. Definitely not doing as much looking as we just saw in that race. All
right. Brilliant racing all round as we move to heat number 4 already, and we have a introduction with the reigning world champion in this event from last year. We have the wonderful Turkish sculler Mutlu, who is one to watch. I think if he keeps if he kept his form from last year, he will be one of the podium contenders. And we jump straight into the action together with Spain, Czechia, Georgia, and Somalia, if I'm not mistaken, in lane number 5. So a fantastic race so far, and it's actually quite close between Turkey and Czechia and Spain at the moment.
Absolutely, yes. We're seeing that 2 races happening again. Top 3 boats pretty close. Mutlu of Turkey leading it out through the 500 and through the 1000. And here he goes through 1500, still holding on to that lead. Reigning world and European champion from last year. But, you know, we've seen him racing at senior level. He was at the World Cup 2 this year. He finished 5th in the men's single. We saw him at the World Championships back in 2023. Like, he has so much experience over the year. So no surprise here, but under a little bit of pressure here today. Spain, that is Mikel Mardaras Peters in 2nd position here, not too far behind him at all, probably putting a bit more effort compared to Turkey, looking by the pain on their faces.
Yeah, that was quite a grimace on the faces, but and a little bit of a glance from Yevdet Mutlu, who is leading by a little bit over full length and a little bit of clear water ahead of Spain and Czechia, and you can see him taking a glance at where am I now, what do I need to do to get through this race, and he's not really hurting as much as we've seen some of the other competitors at this stage of the race. I think he's rowing well within himself, so to speak, but he will feel that pressure from Spain and Czechia because they are really breathing down his neck. So at this stage, and they are in the Red Buoy area, so I think he needs to he is raising his game, 39 strokes a minute from the sculler from Turkey, but he is really feeling the heat from Spain and Czechia. Czechia now struggling a bit, upping the rating but not really getting much out of it in terms of speed, whereas the Spanish athlete is almost matching the defending world champion in terms of speed.
He is, and starting to open up here now, again looking to make sure he is secure in those top 2 spots to book himself directly into the semi-final rather than having to wait for all the times to come through. But it is a close finish here. Turkey Mutlu taking the lead going into the semi-final. Mardaras Peters of Spain in that 2nd position, and Strelva of Czechia in 3rd. Then a little bit back to the sculler from Georgia, currently in that 4th position, followed in by Somalia.
Yeah, it will be Karchilava from Georgia ahead of Hassan from Somalia, who is about to come to the finish line, but there was this race in front with Czechia, Spain and Turkey was one to watch, and a little bit of showboating going on here, I think, just relaxing a bit from Yevdet Mutlu, showing everybody this was a relaxed race for him. I'm sure there's a bit of mind games going on there.
I would probably agree with you. Looking at the times, definitely not the fastest heat, but definitely not the slowest either. So, yeah, can't wait for those semi-finals.
Yeah, I think the winning time from Mutlu is about 3 and a bit seconds slower than the quickest one to date. As we have a little bit of a break, if I'm not mistaken. So that was the last heat of the men's single scull. We move into the first heat of the women's pair in about 4.5 minutes. So there's a little bit of a break now as we come back with the action with the first heat of the women's pair at 10:59, if I'm not mistaken. So see you in about 4 minutes. So welcome back, everybody, as we jump back into the racing with the first heat of the women's pair. Just quick lane-by-lane introduction. You just saw the People's Republic of China in lane number 1, and here we have Romania in lane 2. Right beside the Romanians, we have a very interesting crew from Kazakhstan. And also they are in the little clogs there, so all the crews being lined up and held at their position by the volunteers. Here is Italy, lane 4. Again, a pair in that center lane, Ravizza and Canale. And here is a crew from the USA, and I'm really curious to see what they can do. Here are Carly Brown and Greslin Theobald, and off the line they go. And last but certainly not least is the crew from Slovenia, just outside of the picture, or at least they're rowing outside of that picture right now, as a nice start, a very quick start by Romania, and no surprises there to see the Romanians doing well in the opening few strokes, but a fast start by the Americans as well.
Certainly, yes, very early on in the race, but the Romanians getting off the blocks really, really quickly. We saw them racing in the 4 World Cup 2 not so long ago. They've already raced internationally this year, finishing 4th there in the women's 4. Coming together into the women's pair here now. Across this category, we have 17 entries, which means 3 heats. And once again, progression-wise, it'll be the top 2 in each heat going into the semi-final, and then the next 6 fastest times across the 3 heats. So again, being in those top 2 positions takes a lot of the pressure off yourself. At the moment, People's Republic of China and USA with an early lead here as well.
Yeah, the USA settling into that race rhythm quite early. It was about 250 meters gone. You already saw the crew lengthening up and getting more inside that sort of maintainable pace here at 37 strokes a minute. About a bow ball ahead of the People's Republic of China, just outside of this picture, racing in lane 1. But Sun and Ma from the People's Republic of China right alongside the Americans here, and Slovenia also looking very impressive at this stage of the race. We're approaching the first timing mark. Slovenia ahead of the Romanian pair, who got out of the blocks really quickly and have now settled into that rhythm. The Romanians 4th at the moment, and here we see that confirmed. So USA, People's Republic of China, Slovenia, Romania, that's the 1, 2, 3 and 4, and those crews quite close together still. And then there's that little bit of a gap back to Kazakhstan and Italy. Italy trailing basically dead level with Kazakhstan at the moment, but nearly a full length separating Kazakhstan to the 4th place Romanians at the moment. You can see here the crew from Romania. And trying to get a little bit more in the center of their lane. We saw a few crews actually sort of struggling in these headwind conditions and having to make a little bit of a steering correction to get that center line here as we ride with the Americans looking really cool.
Really strong here from USA. Carly Brown there in the bow seat, racing under 19 back in 2024, winning a gold medal in the women's 8, and we saw her the year before in 2023 winning a gold medal in the Coxed 4. So lots of sweeping experience. Now, of course, this is, for those of you maybe unfamiliar with rowing, this is the first race that we're seeing a sweeping boat in. It's all been sculling, and basically the sculling boat, you have 2 oars each, whereas now we've changed to 1 oar per rower, so it's a little bit of a different style. We do see a lot of the younger rowers, being adaptable and changing over the years until they kind of settle into what suits them best. But yeah, lots of these rowers have come from sculling, and now we're into sweeping and giving this a go here at under 23 level.
Yeah, as we ride with the American pair, impressive stuff from Brown and Theobald from Stanford and Northeastern University, respectively, as they move through the 1,000-meter mark, and it's a clear water margin at halfway, and they look so strong. The leg drive is wonderful to see. They connect easy at the front, and it's a 4-second lead ahead of Slovenia and Romania already, with the People's Republic of China actually slipping back in that second 500 to fourth overall. As you can see here, the Americans on the right-hand side leading by a decent margin, and here Romania resurgent after that wobbly second 250. They have moved into second position now and trying to get alongside and overhaul the Slovenian crew here for that all-important second place.
USA there up around 36, they were 37 strokes per minute there a moment ago. When you can rate that high and look like you're in so much control and like you still have somewhere to go, you know you've got it right here. So USA doing really well up at kind of maybe the higher stroke rate compared to some of the other crews here. Kazakhstan down at 31, but in that second position, yes, it is the Romanians. In the bow seat, Ileana Irina Catru raced last year at these World Under 23s. She came from the quad last year where she finished 8th or 2nd in the B final. Now into the sweeping boat and joined there Dia in the stroke seat, who we've seen over the years at under 19 level and European under 23 level a couple of years ago, winning a gold medal in the Cox to 4.
Yeah, and I think the Romanian pair sort of really getting into their rhythm now. They looked a bit wobbly in the first half of this race, but they're rowing together better as the race progresses. But the form crew at the moment, it's still from the USA. They can see the Romanians to their left, and they still look as cool as you like, coming through the 1500 meter mark. They look in full control, taking it over at 35 strokes a minute. That looks manageable, I think, all the way down to the line. Looking at the time difference, I think they've put a little bit more margin into the Romanians, nearly 5 seconds now, and Slovenia now slipping back more firmly into that third slot ahead of the People's Republic of China and Kazakhstan, basically level 4th and 5th, and Italy some seconds down from the crew from Kazakhstan.
We're into the final 300 metres now of this race. Still USA keeping it down at that 35. You know, they'd done a bit of a push there in the third quarter of the race, up at 36, 37, brought it back down. Seem to be going up a little bit here now again. They're safely in that first position, but again, it's always a nice opportunity here to be in a race and to be able to see what you can get out of yourself. So they are putting on that slight little bit of a push. Romania then in that second position. Slovenia trying and are starting to come back a little bit, but Romania very much responding.
Yeah, Romania see the threat from the Slovenian pair, and the Americans. We just saw Carly Brown having a big look where she was and making a little bit of a call there, quite close to the buoy line actually, and I hope they manage to avoid it entirely. A little bit of a steering correction, but the sprint is on from the Slovenians. They are upping the rate, 37 strokes a minute compared to 36 from the Romanians, and you can see the Romanians in terms of speed getting more out of it. And really moving along. The Americans, I think, cruising. I think they know they've done enough to get the win here. Just 100 meters left to row, but a great turn of pace by the Romanians now. By far the quickest boat out on the water, and closing the Americans down quite rapidly, I'd say.
They certainly are. They certainly have a big sprint finish in them. They know that going into the next round that USA are strong through that first 3 quarters of the race. So, you know, they'll maybe change their race plan or tactics after being in that race with USA. But nice finish there from Romania, booking their spot into the semi-final. Third place then going to Slovenia. Not able to do enough to get into the top 2, but they still have that chance to get into the semi-final depending on the times from the remaining crews in this heat and the next one.
And look at the American pair. I think this took more out of them than we thought. And I was wondering in the closing few strokes if they perhaps were unaware of the Romanian charge, or they were just not able to respond. In the end, it's 1 3/4 seconds to Romania, but I'm sure this will not have been the greatest heat for the Americans' confidence in terms of race plan, because they looked like they had to go all out in that race.
And they were looking so calm all the way down.
Yeah,
they looked very much in control, but maybe taken by surprise at the end there. And we move on to the second of three heats here in the women's pair. 6 crews competing. Lane 1 we have Lithuania, Lane 2 France, Lane 3 Australia, Lane 4 Great Britain, Lane 5 Brazil, and Lane 6 Austria. And look at this dominating lead here at the moment from Australia, right in the middle of our screen. They are in Lane 3. They have about 20 metres of a lead here ahead of their nearest competitors, Great Britain.
Yeah, and this is an actual combination of athletes that didn't have to transition between sweeping and sculling because Lucy Searle and Imogen Gray know each other so well, having raced for the University of Texas. They raced the Varsity 8 and were actually the stroke pair in that crew. So they know everything there is to know about each other, and they have a great race plan, and so far so good. We're a little over halfway, and they've built up a huge margin ahead of a quality pair from Great Britain, from Anna Cowell and Valentina Fenton, who are giving chase, but it's a clear water margin. And then there's that big gap back to the crew from, I believe that's Lithuania, or is that no, that's the Austrian, I stand corrected, but the top 2 crews from Australia and Great Britain way ahead of the rest of the field. An impressive row so far, and you look at the Australian green and gold here, looking, well, there's a little bit of pain on the faces, but they really looks calm, cool, as you like. And it's nearly 5 seconds lead ahead of Great Britain at 1500, so that would give them a bit of confidence coming into the final quarter.
Now, we made that mistake with USA, saying they were looking very calm all the way down and looking like they were hurting at the end, but I think it was more so the very last sprint caught them off guard. Looking at the last heat, this one is about 9 seconds slower going through that 1500 metre mark, but looking like Australia might have a little bit more in them when it comes to later rounds of racing. Great Britain look like they're having to work hard here, though, to stay in somewhat of contact with Australia. They're definitely in those top 2 positions very solidly at the moment. And then great race, Lithuania, France and Austria. Nothing separating the 3 of them right now.
Yeah, I think the difference between the previous heat was that the Australians weren't really pushed. I mean, they were 2 seconds ahead at 500, and then, well, basically that's a decent margin, and I wouldn't say they are cruising at this stage, but that gives you a bit of like 27 strokes a minute from the Aussies at the moment, and that's the confidence of having rode with each other for the entire season in that Varsity 8 for Texas University, for the Longhorns. And they can look at Great Britain trying to get back at them, but they look really cool, calm, as you like. Great Britain, as you said, a little bit of more work put in, but outside of the picture, France and the Austrians are really going for it. France at 40 strokes a minute, but look at the class and control by the Aussies here, and this is something to behold. So one of the crews to watch, I think, for the gold medal later this week, and you can see the difference in rate and style. It's wonderful to watch the Aussies go.
Absolutely, down at 25 strokes per minute here as they come on to the finish line, and still seeing off the challenge from Great Britain, who were working hard, but looking really close here. On the closest side to us, it's Austria, but France looking like they may have just got that 3rd position again. We don't know who we'll see in the later rounds of racing just yet. We have to wait on those times, but that race between France and Austria and Lithuania will surely give them nice quick times. Will they be enough to get into the semi-final? We'll have to wait for one more heat to see.
Yeah, and little thumbs up there from Imogen Gray in the stroke seat. I think cool. I think they had a good race, and that's something to watch for the coming few days. GB definitely looked like they had to pull out a bit more of their reserves to get that 2nd spot overall ahead of France, Austria and Lithuania.
And let's move on to heat number 3 of the women's pair final heat to see who will be making it into the semi-final, who will be going to final C. This time we have Germany lane 1, individual neutral athletes lane 2, Denmark lane 3, Sweden lane 4, Greece lane 5, and huge early showing here from lane number 2, individual neutral athletes. We saw these pair join up at World Cup 3 where they finished 12th in the pair, and World Cup 1 where they finished 8th. So they've already had a couple of international races so far this season.
Yeah, so plenty of experience to go around, but well, at the moment you can see we ride here with the Greek pair, and it's basically the same story from all the Greek crews. It looks sharp, it looks focused, and still they manage to get that relaxation. There's not too much tension in the upper body. It's just ticking it over, and at 34 strokes a minute, it really looks powerful from the Greek combination. But they are trailing by a decent margin. This field spread out across the lake with the individual neutral athletes, Gutseva and Lushina, leading this quite comfortably, about 20 meters ahead of Greece. And then from Greece, it's back to Denmark, another 50 meters. So that's a decent clear water margin. And then Sweden and Germany for places 4 and 5. But the race at the front is being dominated by 2 crews. With Greece, a decent margin again back to from the individual neutral athletes here on the left-hand side of your picture. They look nice and long, and like the top crews from Australia and the USA, having that composure, having that relaxation really pays dividends coming into the final stages of this race. Denmark, a little bit of a push from them. They are upping the rate, shortening up a little bit compared to the other crews, but it's going to be a huge task to get themselves ahead of Greece for that direct qualification to the semi-final.
This pair from individual neutral athletes, they are probably matching speed-wise compared to maybe the USA crew we saw in the first heat. At the moment, Australia just dominating the whole field, even with their 25 strokes per minute at the end there. But you can see Greece up there at the 35 strokes per minute compared to... It actually, they're rating similar, both crews, but it looks so different when you see them either on the aerial shot or when you take the individual pictures of them. They're very different styles.
Yeah, the Greeks being a bit more vertical, I'd say, with a little bit of, a more pronounced backswing compared to these individual neutral athletes who are a bit more horizontal in the way they row and apply their power. And at the moment they are getting the best out of their efforts because they are the quickest boat out on the water, and they are still trucking along at 34 strokes a minute, so underrating the Greek pair by 1 stroke a minute, and they're putting more distance in them, but I don't think there's going to be a huge change in the order with Gutseva and Lushina, the individual neutral athletes. They will take the win here, and we'll keep a close eye on that time and compare it to the Australians and the USA from the previous heats. They're definitely putting on a bit of a burst now. 37 strokes a minute and about 2.5 lengths of clear water for them ahead of Greece, who in turn have about a similar margin to the Danish combination of Benediktsson and Trenta in the center lane number 3. And then it's basically level. I think the Swedish combination are just going to eke out the win here ahead of the home favourites from Germany, who will take 5th overall. And times-wise, 7:52-ish.
Compared to Australia's 7:49 and USA was 7:55. So they're sitting in the middle of those kind of top 3 times. Definitely more out of them, I would say, in the next round of racing. USA probably out of the 3 of them look like they had to work the hardest for their time.
I would agree. So that's an interesting one to watch, and that concludes all the heats in the women's pair. And then we go straight into the action for the men's pair. We have a total of 3 heats as well for the men's pair. We have a stacked field with Great Britain, France, Kazakhstan, Brazil, Romania, and the People's Republic of China racing in this first of 3 heats. and that race has already started, so we jump straight into the action here with the People's Republic and China and Romania doing quite well off the bat. We are closing into the halfway mark, and it is at the moment Romania who have the honors, but there's not a huge margin ahead of the People's Republic of China. And keep a close eye on that quality pair from Great Britain once again, who are actually second, just inches ahead of China.
Really nothing separating them at the moment. People's Republic of China going through 500 metres just ahead of Romania, and Romania flipping it then, taking the lead through the halfway mark. No real surprise. We have a medalist from the under-23s last year coming from the 4 that is stroking the Romanian boat, Eduard Angel Moldovan. We've also seen him at the World Cup this year, World Cup 2 in the pair. He has so much experience back since 2021, and he is joined there in the bow seat, Patrick Francisque Sebastian. So they're the pair here leading out now, but not too much of a lead here across the field. It is Great Britain currently in that second position, Thomas Griffin in the bow seat. We saw him representing Great Britain back in 2022 on the under-19 level, winning a silver medal in the 8, and then he's joined in the stroke seat by Isaac Turnham, finishing just off the podium last year in the 4.
Yeah, and both these athletes, of course, out of another year in the USA. Both of these athletes competed for Brown University in the Varsity 8. So that's an easy sort of, step from the big boat into the pair and see how things go. And at the moment, they are the quickest boat on the water, just 3/4 of a length down on these Romanian athletes who look so nicely together. And talk about relaxation in the upper body. I mean, it's so easy and it looks really, really well how they connect to the water. And at 35 strokes a minute, I think knowing Romanian crews at 35 strokes a minute, that's just cruising, because we know all the Romanian crews can raise their game to a fast and furious sprint, and we have seen 45 strokes a minute in the final few hundred meters from Romanian crews in previous years. But Great Britain are really pushing on, putting the pressure on the Romanian pair, as the People's Republic of China are slowly but surely being relegated to 3rd place overall, ahead of that really tightly packed field from France, Kazakhstan and Brazil. But that's a long way down on these Romanian athletes and the Brits on the far side of the lake.
And similar to the women's pair, it's 3 heats we have, so it's the top 2 going into the semi-finals here again, and the next 6 fastest times across the 3 heats will be joining them, everyone else to final C. So again, being in that top 2 position is really important. And look on our screen here now, Great Britain taking over from Romania now. They're hidden by the graphic. They've put themselves into the lead, probably working that little bit harder. As you mentioned, Romania still staying at 35-36, not panicking. Great Britain up at that 37 strokes per minute. But mentally for Romania, if they can kind of stay or get back into the lead, that would do them good going into the next round. Great Britain, though, really starting to pull away.
Yeah, and Great Britain, the faster crew by quite a margin, I think, nearly a half a kilometre quicker than the Romanians, and the Romanians not really responding at the moment. I think they are taking it up, not much. It's still 37 strokes a minute from these Romanians here, still looking long and strong, but that's a bit of a conundrum. Aren't they aware of the Brits? That's possible, but the British pair will take the win here in this heat, no doubt. And the Romanians, a little look from the Romanian bowman, but it's a 1-2. Great Britain ahead of Romania, and then look at the gap they've opened up back to a really tightly packed field. The People's Republic of China actually will cross 3rd across the line here, and just ahead of the crew from that is the crew from Kazakhstan, ahead of France and ahead of the Brazilian crew, I should say. So it's GB1, Romania 2, the People's Republic of China, nearly 12 seconds down. Then it is Brazil ahead of the crew from France, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, here is confirmation. And that leaves Kazakhstan last, but certainly not least.
And that is first heat of the men's pair. So who will be joining Great Britain and Romania directly into the semi-final? Well, let's see as we move back up the course, they're already on their way down. They've gone through 500 metres. Heat 2 of the men's pair. In lane 1 we have Belgium, lane 2 Spain, lane 3 Greece, lane 4 Germany, lane 5 Lithuania, and lane 6 Hungary.
Yeah, and the Greeks, I think, are the crew to watch in this heat, with, again, the Greeks fielding so many crews with lots and lots of experience at the under-19s and the under-23 levels. And I would be surprised if the Greeks are not leading. And at the 1,000, they are by clear water. And it's great to see, fantastic to see even Germany, Belgium, Lithuania and Spain right up there, a really tightly packed field behind the Greeks, but the Greeks look really good, and Germany now going for a little bit of a push there, and I think they'll want to move early to make sure they are outside of the charge for the line, and they're going with these Greeks in this third quarter. But the Greeks, yeah, an experienced crew. They raced together in the previous regattas, and they are making the most of these conditions here.
Yeah, finishing 6th in the A final last year at these under-23 World Championships. They had won a bronze medal at the under-19 Worlds as well. So lots of experience together in the pair. But then looking really close, it'll be a great race. Right down, we've about 700 metres to go. Belgium and Germany, again, just if you can get into that top 2, it just takes that little bit of pressure off. Belgium up at 36 strokes per minute, Germany at 35. Similar rates. Again, all of these crews, bar maybe Lithuania, have lots of experience at under 19 and 23 level across the last few years here.
And Germany now, feeling a bit of the heat. I mean, they were going for a change of gear at the 1,000, but it's actually the Belgian combination of Neil Laurijns together with Finn de Smet, who are in second position, and a great battle unfolding between Spain and Germany, actually, ahead of Lithuania and Hungary. And that's one to watch. The Greeks still look really comfortable as they are, but it's the Spanish actually now moving ahead of the local favourites.
Yeah, Spain in lane 2 there, just getting through just ahead of Germany to take that third position. Belgium still looking strong over on the far side in lane 1. They're at the top of your screen here now, but Spain definitely coming into it. Germany looking like they're starting to respond a little bit here now as well.
Yeah, lovely punchy rhythm from the Greeks. Nice connection at the front end, and you can see how they really throw that energy in that boat and watch it fly. The Belgians are a bit of a surprise for me, actually, to see them in second position overall, but the Spanish are one of the quicker boats out on the water. It's just 10 meters separating the top 2 crews on your picture. As the Greeks get into the final 250 meters, the Belgians already at 38 strokes a minute. And you can see the pain here etched on the face of the Spanish bowman. He's really going for it, trying to get that direct qualifying position to the semi-final.
Yeah, they're up at 39, but not really getting any closer to Belgium now at all. Belgium looking strong. Greece down to 33 strokes per minute, and they're looking very comfortable here at that. They're not having to work as hard as the rest of the crew. Spain now up at 40. Belgium responding there at 39. Spain somewhat starting to come back a little bit, but I'm not sure there's enough water for them to get into that second position.
Yeah, and the Belgians are also responding, and they're really putting in the power, not really going for rate, but just upping the power each and every stroke, and they move clear of the Spanish bow ball. Greeks take an easy victory here, first across the line, and then the Belgians, fantastic performance from them, then Spain, then Germany, then Lithuania, and last but certainly not least Hungary across the line in 6th. And comparing the times from the previous heat, this heat being some 5 seconds slower than the first heat, where Great Britain took the win in 7:04, so a 7:09 here, but these guys weren't really pushed up until the last 100 meters when the Belgians had to move because of that late Spanish charge.
Absolutely, and definitely more to come from the rate of the Greek pair as well, I would say. They were keeping a lot in reserve there. But that is 2 heats done. We have one final heat in the men's pair to see who will be going into the semi-final, who will be racing in the C final. This time we have lane 1 Serbia, lane 2 Italy, lane 3 USA, lane 4 individual neutral athletes, lane 5 New Zealand, and lane 6 Australia. They've gone through 500 metres. Australia leading this one out, followed in by Italy. This was at 500 metres. New Zealand were in third, followed by Serbia, USA, and individual neutral athletes.
Yeah, no surprise to see, like the women's pair, the Aussie men's pair also doing very well here in this heat. Of course, plenty of experience at the age category levels, and 2 seconds ahead of Italy. I would expect the Serbians to be a bit closer to the front of the field, but they're in one of the centre lanes and 4th at the moment, and that's not what I expected from Dejik and Lulen Gia, both rowing for University of California in the USA, but they are trailing, and the Aussies aren't waiting around for anybody, and the Italians doing quite well here. Serbia now into 3rd, just a whisker ahead of the Kiwis in 4th, and that's also, and those 2 crews are being tracked very closely by the USA. The only crew more or less out of it at the moment are the individual neutral athletes.
Australia with the lowest rate right now at the moment, 33 strokes per minute. Let's see if they do similar to the women's pair and drop it right down as they come into the last few strokes, but we still have 650 metres to go here now. Italy and Serbia go up at 36 strokes per minute. Italy about 10 metres behind Australia at the moment. The Italians there, stroked by Giovanni Paoli, winning a silver medal at the World Under-19s last year in the quad, and the year before he won a gold medal in the 4. So changing disciplines from the sculling to sweeping over the years. He's joined by Meligari in the bow seat, but close-up shot here of Australia. Italy's definitely coming back at them though.
Yeah, Italy going for a big push coming into the final 500 metres, and you could see the Aussies looking to their left and not really sure what to think of it, but if there's something to be feared, it is the Italian sprint, and we know they can raise this like 40 strokes a minute for the full 500 metres if they have to. The Aussies here, boy, they look sharp, and little look from the Aussie bowman there, Hansen Carnoy, just to be sure where the Italians are, and looking at the Italian speed, I think that little bit of a push, not really giving them any more speed at the moment, but they are still slightly faster than the Aussies, but the Aussies still have that advantage of being able to raise their rate, because the Aussies still at 32 strokes a minute, so if they have to, they can, I think.
They certainly can, and I suppose it's about them making a call now. Do we want to fight? Do we want to sprint Italy? Or do we let them off and think that they have an advantage when we go into the next round of racing? Australia, upping it to 33, but that's it. Whereas the Italians sustaining that 37, 38 strokes per minute. Just 5 metres separating the two of them now. Serbia charging here now, but they're in that 3rd position, but holding off the challenge from USA.
Yeah, the Serbians, quickest boat on the water, the 2022 Under-19 World Champions, absolutely going for it. Look at the Italian rate, though, nearly 40 strokes a minute, and I would not be able to keep my head cool if I was in that Australian pair with the Italians closing down every single stroke. It's just 2 meters separating the Aussies from the Italians. I think the Aussies have done just about enough to keep that lead and take the win here in this heat, but it's precious little. It is in the end the green and gold who take the win here, ahead of Italy, the tricolore from Italy, and then the fast finishing rhythm from the Serbians actually sees them across the line 3rd, and here they are, the Australians. Not sure what to think of this reaction from them. I think they trying to play it cool, but that Italian pair got really, really close in the end.
Really close to them. Australia went from about 32 up to about 34 strokes per minute, so probably a little bit more room for them in the next round, but I do think they are trying to keep themselves composed and maybe got a little bit of a fright there from the Italians. But yeah, that's heat 3. That's the final heat of the men's pair. So Australia and Italy going straight through into the semi-final. Looking like it'll be New Zealand and individual neutral athletes into final C.
Yeah, and in terms of raw pace, this I think was the slowest of the 3 heats, with 7:09 from that second heat. So that doesn't tell you much, of course, and conditions do change. We still have that headwind conditions which we have had for the entire morning, and you can, it's all chopping and changing in terms of space. So we'll see what that gives us as we move from the pairs to the doubles. And one of the fields I've been looking forward to at these under 23 World Championships is the women's double sculls, because there is quality all around. And in this first heat, we find Brazil, Switzerland, the USA, and France racing against Poland in lane number 5, and that crew well and truly on the way, just passing 500 meters gone.
Yeah, we have 15 entries in the women's double sculls spread across 3 heats here, and again it's the top 2 going into the semi-final and the 6 fastest times out of the remaining crews. Every other crew will then race in final C, and going through 500 metres. Switzerland, in fact, in lane 2 were just about ahead of Poland. We have a returning member from last year's, actually both of them, both the Polish crew came second last year in this category. That is Kilbenko in the bow seat and Rodovic in the stroke seat, so they're returning from last year. Lots of experience. They also raced at the World Championships in Shanghai in a quad, where they finished 7th or 1st in the B final. So they're now just looking like they're taking the lead from Switzerland. Yeah,
they are looking really, really cool. And the silver medalist from last year, and again, this is such a difficult boat to row as well. I have very little experience in the double, but I found it hugely challenging to row with that perfect synchronicity. If you move from the single scull into the double, you need to make sure absolutely every single detail clicks for a double to go really, really fast. Poland now a strong move, taking that lead ahead of France, and Switzerland dropping back now and not really able to maintain that early pace together with the other 2 crews, with Brazil and the USA. The USA actually high rating as we ride with the USA now for a second or 2, with Savannah Jerome and Catherine Sauer in the bow and stroke seat respectively, but they are trailing the leading crew from Poland, and I would expect that Polish pair to do something special here, but France also a crew to watch.
They certainly are. Yes, in the stroke seat of the French boat, Mila Massamin was 6th last year in this race at the Under-23 World Championships. We saw them both racing at the World Cup, the first one this year, in different boat classes. Leah Herskovici in the double and Massamin in the quad. But they are looking pretty comfortable in that second position right now. They are matching the speed of the Polish double, who are looking really strong, very kind of controlled at the finish there, with nice getting the hands away, but there's real control in their body movements, and looking very strong here as they rate 34 strokes per minute.
Yeah, almost 2.5 seconds, or a little over 2.5 seconds now to France, and Switzerland still clinging on to that 3rd spot overall, but the Swiss will look to Brazil to their left and to the Americans to their right to make sure they stay where they are. But you can see here it looks so relaxed, and as you mentioned, the way they move their hands away from the body, the Polish, at the end of the stroke, it's such fluidity, and that really gives them that little bit of extra speed. As we see the French now going for a change of gear, the French a bit of clear water between the French and the Polish, but the French now taking it up to 36 strokes a minute, trying to get closer, and indeed they are managing to get a little bit closer to that Polish bow ball with 250 meters to go.
250 metres to go. They're up at 37 strokes per minute. Poland seem to be holding them off, though. They're down at 34 strokes per minute. The sun is starting to break through the clouds here now, making visibility a little trickier. You can see the glare off the water here from our lovely camera shots. But France, they are going for it here. We are up at 38 strokes per minute compared to Poland's 35. They are starting to eat into the lead, but not much at all.
It's too little too late, but I think the Polish are not really going all out because they have this race well and truly under their control. They can look at the French double and they can respond. There's a little bit of power increase from the Polish. You can see the puddles getting a bit bigger off the end of the blades, and they've done about enough. It's just shy of 3/4 of a length for the Polish ahead of the French and then the Swiss, and you may be able to hear the cowbells in the background. The Swiss will take third overall ahead of Brazil and ahead of the United States of America.
We now move on to heat number 2 of the women's double sculls. 5 crews, lane 1, People's Republic of China, lane 2, Germany, lane 3, individual neutral athletes 2. Lane 4, we have individual neutral athletes 1, and then in lane 5 we have Belgium. They're already starting to approach that halfway mark, but at 500 metres is individual neutral athletes 2 leading it out ahead of Belgium, ahead of individual neutral athletes 1.
Yeah, wonderful to see another Belgian crew doing well. We saw the Belgian men's double doing very well in that men's heat, getting second overall, and here is the women's double from Belgium, also doing quite well. You can see them on the right-hand side of this picture, but it's the individual neutral athletes 2, Cherkasova and Grigoreva in the stroke of the bow and stroke seat respectively, and it's a demonstration of power, I would say. 31 strokes a minute from that crew, and you can see the length they are getting, that run on the boat. They are really laying down the watts and really powering through each and every stroke, and the quickest boat out on the water ahead of Belgium. And then it is actually Germany who now hold on to third. Brenke and Luster, who are just ahead of Vasilieva and Rusak, the individual neutral athletes now closest to you on the big screen. But it is all about Cherkasova and Grigoreva, who continue to move away and continue to establish a bigger lead ahead of Belgium, approaching 1,500 meters gone. What a power demonstration.
Pretty incredible that they're both just 16 years old compared to a lot of these rowers who would be 21, 22. It's amazing. And we saw them racing in Brandenburg here in Germany back in May at the European Under-19 Championships, where Cherkasova finished in a silver medal in the women's single and Grigoreva won a gold medal in the women's double. So they've teamed up here now, and just I can't believe how young they are compared to some of their competitors, and really lovely rowing here and a massive lead here at this point.
Yeah, and they are putting more distance in that Belgian pair. The Belgians, of course, no stranger to international competition, and they have a little bit of experience together, having raced and especially, probably also against each other at the nationals, and then being put together in this double. And they're doing really well here to remain in contact with that very powerful combination of Cherkasova and Grigoreva, who are another. Yeah, and here they go. It's 30 strokes a minute. It's incredible to see the difference in style. The Belgians 35 strokes a minute, the Germans 35 strokes a minute, but nothing really phases these young athletes athletes who are leading this race so dominantly at the moment.
And to be so young and to be just so in control and not to panic when you are, like, because you have so much of a lead, there can be an element of, I need to stay here, and a level of panic, but there isn't. Like, it's very mature rowing, 30 strokes per minute, very strong back half of their stroke, and one of the fastest moving boats out there. But Germany definitely putting on that little bit of a push. I don't think there's definitely not enough water at this point to get themselves into that second position for a secure qualification into the semi-final. Just the top two here again going straight through.
Yeah, and of course also Vasileva and Rusak, the individual neutral athletes one crew, really pushing on. Now Germany really stepping it on now, increasing that rate to a handsome 38 strokes a minute. I think they left it too late, but the Germans are fending off Vasileva and Rusak in lane number 4, but the win will definitely go to Cherkasova and Grigoreva, the individual neutral athletes, by a country mile ahead of the Belgians, who need to be quite careful not to let the Germans pass them in the final few strokes, but they managed to hold on. Second place for Belgium, then Germany, and then it is Vasileva and Rusak across the line ahead of Xia and Xu from the People's Republic of China, completing the field.
We're looking at a 7:31 there compared to a 7:34 from Poland in the last. Both of those crews actually looking really controlled at the finish. Poland were the same in the last race as well. So that'll be a great race when we see them in the later rounds. So here are our results. Individual neutral athletes 2. Belgium, they're both going straight into semi-finals. Germany, individual neutral athletes 1, and People's Republic of China have to wait for one more heat to come before we know all the times and see who will be going to the semi-final and who will be going to final C.
Yeah, and then it is, of course, time for that last heat. And there we see the defending champions with Dimitra Eleni Kontu from Greece in the bow seat, actually defending her title from Poznan last year, together with Eleni Diavati, and the Greeks are the ones to watch, and together with Australia, Lithuania, Japan and Italy, and we're already past halfway, and look at them go.
Incredible start here by all crews, but the Greeks are just so strong here at the moment. Then Australia in that second position as they go through over 1,000 metres, but nice race happening between them and Lithuania at the moment.
Yeah, it's the Greeks doing what we expect them to do, but the race is on between Australia, Lithuania and the crew from Italy, as you mentioned. I think the Greeks untouchable at this stage of the race. They were 3 seconds off, quicker than the rest of the field by 500, 5 seconds faster by 1,000, and they continue to extend their lead. And the Aussies and the Lithuanians side by side here. And the Aussies, I think the Aussies are really feeling the heat. I would say the Lithuanian bow ball is a bit closer to the drone at the moment, and the Italians in the danger zone of being dropped out of this pack for places 2, 3 and 4 at the moment, as we ride with the Greeks. And this double, I mean, this is something to behold. It's so loose, it's so fluid, it's razor sharp, and more than 25 meters ahead of Lithuania at the moment, who have taken second place out of the hands of the Australians, ahead of the Italians and the Japanese pair. 500 meters to go. I'm not sure we're going to see a Greek sprint just yet, but the Lithuanians definitely making a fantastic move into the final quarter.
Yes, Lithuania and Australia, we saw both of these crews at the World Under-23s last year. Australia finishing 6th, they were in the quad, finishing 6th, and then Lithuania, they were together in the double sculls, finishing 7th and got a bronze medal at the European Under-23. So they have experience racing together, and it is Lithuania holding off Australia.
Yeah, and you could see Eleni Diavati having an almost nonchalant look to her right, looking at the Lithuanian double and actually having to conclude quite rightly that the Lithuanians are slightly quicker or were slightly quicker, eating into that Greek lead, chipping off a few meters, but it's still more than 20 meters, so that's a decent clear water margin. And now we see a little bit of a change of gear from the Greek pair. They move it up 35 strokes a minute, and they are really lifting that boat out of the water. Now, again, quickest boat out on the water, and the Greeks not really you don't really see it. It's just a very natural raising of the pace of the amounts of strokes a minute. And the Lithuanians actually doing really well here to get closer to the Greeks. But the Aussies, I'm afraid, they are very quick, the Aussies, at the moment. But I think they left it just a bit too late to overhaul the Lithuanian double.
Yes, they certainly did. I love the effortless, as you said, like the effortless upping of the Greek rate and the power, but it's so effortless. You don't see it, but they are holding off the challenge here from Lithuania, who are certainly upping it a lot here. And so the two of them, Greece and Lithuania, they are through to the semi-final. Great race there by Australia as well. We'll have to wait for the time to see if they get through. So we have a 7:23 there from Greece.
Yeah, and just to give you a bit of perspective, that is 8 seconds quicker than the winning time of the previous heat.
Wow.
8 seconds quicker. And it looked, and if you see Dimitra Eleni Kuntu and Eleni Diviati here on the big screen, that was an easy race, or as far as easy racing goes, I think, for them. Yeah, brilliant performance. I think standout performance of the day so far. The effortlessness and the way they were so relaxed all the way through and consistently putting time in the opponents. And in the end, the verdict was 4 3/4 seconds back to Lithuania. So wonderful performance by the Greek crew. High hopes for the next rounds, the semi-finals. As we move from the women's double sculls back into the action with the men's double sculls. Competing nations: Italy, Spain, the People's Republic of China, Great Britain, Germany and Sweden. And of course Italy, defending nation here and also defending champions. So the same combination as we saw on the lake in Poznan last year. And we dive in the action. We're nearly 3 minutes in, and a fantastic showing by the German crew, I think, leading this field at the moment, but it's quite tightly packed as it stands now.
It is quite tightly packed across the water here. We're seeing Italy on the very left-hand side there in lane 1, and Germany are in lane 5. They're the yellow boat over at the right-hand side of the screen. Not much separating the two of them at the moment. There was about half a second separating them through 500, but they're coming up towards that halfway mark here now. In the men's double sculls, there are 24 entries, so we have 4 heats here. So it'll be the top 2 from here going to the semi-final, fastest 4 times across the 4 heats, then also in the semi-final, and then everyone else 2 finals, C or D. Germany holding on that lead through the halfway, fastest moving boat out there along with Spain, but so close if you look at the meters separating them between Germany, Italy, Great Britain very much there, Spain very much there, People's Republic of China, and only 25 meters between first and sixth place.
Yeah, that's pretty close for a heat, and the Swedish combination of Berglund and Karlström Okdal currently trailing, but you can see here by this picture there's still overlap with the People's Republic of China, and boy, it is close between Italy and Germany. I think Germany now feeling that heat. I think the Italians are doing very well here to close down that German lead. It's just 2 meters, so that's less than a canvas at the moment from the defending world champions, and they look really nicely together. The way those blades disappear into the water at the front end, it's wonderfully synchronous. And the Germans, I think, a bit longer stroke, a bit more power perhaps than the Italians. You can see the Italians a bit more rate, 35 strokes a minute compared to the 33 from this German double, and dead level coming at the penultimate timing mark at 1500. Nothing to choose between them.
Absolutely nothing, and you can see the speeds there on the little graphic, and they were really matching each other here. Now, different styles of rowing, but definitely the Germans a little bit maybe longer, I would say, getting up a little bit taller at the catch, spreading the arms out that little bit wider, but 0.08 of a second separating them through 500 metres. So again, it's the top two, but nobody is safe here now because Spain and Great Britain are still very much there as well. Spain overlapping with Italy over on the top of the screen.
Yeah, a Spanish sprint unfolding perhaps a bit early. Looking at the rate, I think, well, not too much of a sprint just yet. 35 strokes a minute as we watch the Germans and the Swedes row across. I think the Germans actually have gone for that change of gear, now taking it up to 36, 37 strokes a minute. And now just that crucial canvas ahead of the Italians. And we have to wait for that Italian sprint, Niamh. It will come, but when? When are Marco Prati and Markovic, when are they going to race this? 37 strokes a minute now, but the Germans are having a little bit of a go here. The Italians now moving as well, Spain going with them, but it's still Germany's race to lose.
It is Germany's race to lose. Italy maybe not going up as high as we would have expected. They're still up at the kind of high 30s, but not getting into the 40s just yet. But Spain actually the fastest moving boat out there. Germany really holding them off, though. It looks like, again, the line can be a little bit deceptive, but it is Germany holding off Italy, Spain then in that third position as they come up.
That was really close on the line. I reckon the Germans had it, but it was by a whisker. The Italians not really going all out like that 42-stroke a minute sprint, which we have seen from the Italians in previous races. 6:30.09 for the Germans, and I think a good performance from them. They also didn't go for that all-out sprint, but perhaps this was as much as they were able to put out on the water. Yeah, he knows he got it. That was that little bit of confidence for Tom Olbrich in the German stroke seat, and he looked at the Italian combination. 0.6 of a second down in second position. Spain got close, but not close enough for third, and Great Britain fourth across the line ahead of the People's Republic of China and Sweden. We haven't been given the time for Sweden and China just yet, but it was actually China ahead of Sweden, and we'll have to wait for full confirmation of the times. But great performance by the home favourites. Germany and German fans will be pleased with that result. 6:40 is the time we'll keep an eye out for, because we move straight back into the action. The second heat already past 1,000. Poland, Algeria, Romania, Ireland, Brazil and Norway. You can see them here lined up wonderfully on the screen. And we'll see, we have, I think for the first time today, a Romanian, two twins in that Romanian double. And here they are out on the water. We look to the centre lanes and I see a tricolore, but not the Italian tricolore, doing very well here, Niamh.
Yes, lane 4 leading this heat out is the Irish crew of Jonah Kirby in the bow. Jack Rafferty stroking this one out. Gold medalist from the World Under-19s last year. Bronze medalist from the European Under-19s. They have been looking really, really strong. A great combination that we've been seeing together over the last couple of seasons. And they are now 7 metres, 8 metres ahead of the crew from Romania, who we saw at the World Cup 2 a little earlier on this year, finishing 6th in this boat class. So they're currently your top two. Then a little bit back to Norway, currently sitting in third position, followed in by Poland in fourth. Yeah, and I have a feeling that the Norwegians have slightly lighter gearing than the rest of the field, because they have been maintaining this 38 strokes a minute for basically the entire race so far, whereas we ride here with the Irish
35 strokes a minute. It looks a bit longer, looks solid, and they look really in control here. And I'm surprised the Romanians aren't closer to this Irish double. I would have expected them to be, but the Norwegians third at the moment, ahead of Poland and Brazil. And I think Algeria about to cross the 1500 meter mark, but the Irish look, I think really in control here. The Irish do the double quite well, historically, I'd say.
They certainly do. Yes, we've seen them doing really well over the last few years, and Jonah and Jack are a great combination and looking really, really strong here ahead of Romania and starting to open up that little bit of a lead. Norway and Brazil, fastest moving boats out there at the moment, but just a little bit off the two leaders. Again, this is the second of 4 heats in the men's double sculls. Top 2 going into that semi-final. Everyone else will have to race for times, but looking really good. I'm wondering, are Romania holding back a little bit here from Ireland? Are they letting Ireland just go off and seeing what they can do? But looking at rates, like they're quite similar, both 35, Romania up at 36 strokes per minute, and Romania, actually, you can see the speed now into the last 150 metres starting to put on a little bit of a push.
Yeah, but mostly power. They're not really going for a big change of gear in terms of rate, as the Irish also take it up a notch or two, looking at the Romanian charge. But the Irish, I think they're pretty confident they can keep the Romanians at bay. And look at the Norwegian crew. I'm actually very surprised, because the Norwegians at 41 strokes a minute, and they will get third across the line. First place will go to the Irish ahead of the Romanians. Then it's Norway, and too close to call between Brazil and Poland on the far side of the lake. We'll wait for official confirmation, and the Irish actually a second quicker than the previous heat. So that's, I think, good news for Team Ireland.
I think they'll certainly be happy with that performance. We'll see the semi-finals. They don't have too much of a break. It'll be like tomorrow, I believe, they will see their semi-finals will be on, in kind of the late morning or so. So they've about less than 24 hours recovery until the next round of racing, whereas some crews are having that kind of little day off in between to get a full recovery. But there we have it. Ireland taking the win, and Romania, they're straight into semi-final, and then Norway, Brazil, Poland and Algeria will have to wait for 2 more heats to come to see if they have done enough and have a quick time.
Yeah, also really a stacked field, this men's double, as we move to heat number 3 with Bulgaria, France, Ukraine, Turkey, Portugal and Slovenia. And again, quality. We have seen Mario Naikov, that's a name or surname we've seen before. It's that great Bulgarian bit of pedigree as we move 3 minutes in. We approach 1,000 meters gone, and it is the crew from Portugal actually, with Pedro Rodrigues and Tomás Neves in the stroke seat. And again, a crew from Portugal. Portugal really doing wonders here, coached by John West. I actually met him last year in Poznan, and he was really pleased with the performance of his athletes, and seeing as they build these athletes further up. And again, these athletes, like we saw with Gonçalves in the men's single scull, you can see what the difference another year of training actually means in terms of physique, in terms of stamina, and in terms of experience. And it's great to see the Portuguese leading out. Going with them, though, it's a combination from Eren and Koroglu from Turkey. A new combination, I think. I think we saw Koroglu racing the single in previous years. And it's wonderful to see Turkey so well represented here at the under-23s.
Yes, indeed. We did see him in the lightweight men's single last year, where he won a gold medal, no less. And we did see this combination at the World Cup 2 earlier this year in the doubles. They are starting to get that little bit of experience together, but no catching at this point in time anyway, with 650 metres to go. That crew from Portugal just missed out on a medal last year at the World Under-23s, finishing a silver or in second position at the European under 23. So again, a lot of these crews, you know, they're building them up and giving them lots of racing time together, but of course lots of new combinations as well. But here, Portugal looking strong, fastest moving boat out there at the moment.
Yeah, and I do love the way that how they take the blade out of the water, it being vertical, and then feathering it, and you can just see that little bit of extra run on the boat that generates every single stroke. You can see it from the top picture, which we have now really well. That boat just sort of moves another inch or two compared to, for example, the double from Turkey, which is in the lane above the Portuguese, the leading crew there. Slovenia now moving into third, together with France, and France and the crew from Ukraine were basically level pegging. So it's great to see this Slovenian crew moving back into the action here with 300 meters to go. I think all these crews know what's on the line, and they're having to race all out for that quickest time if you're not in one of the qualifying positions. So the race is on. I think Turkey making a little bit of a move, but Portugal really seeing that danger from where they are sitting, leading comfortably, still at that 35 strokes a minute. So really having another gear to go to, whereas Turkey look to me like they're more or less at their ceiling at the moment.
I think so. You can see all the rates across the board. Maybe bar Ukraine are going up and up and up, and maybe bar Portugal as well. They're holding on to 36 strokes per minute, but we have a 40 there from Slovenia. They're really trying to get the best out of themselves and the most out of themselves here to clock a really fast time, because it all comes down to that. When you are in that third position, you are looking for a very, very quick time, and they are the fastest moving boat out there. They're not really eating in too much of a lead into Turkey, who are still in that second position, but here coming up to the finish line, Portugal leading out from the very start, looking very strong all the way down, taking that first direct qualifying spot, followed by Turkey in second. I would think Slovenia will have a pretty decent time there, though.
I think I would agree. Again, quicker time than heat number one. By about 2 seconds, and Slovenia having to confirm, 6:43 for Slovenia. So that is basically, it's just a smidge slower than the Norwegians. And Spain also has 6:42. So it's not over just yet. We'll keep a close eye on the times, but brilliant performance there by the crew from Portugal. And here our confirmation, 6:38. So that's nearly 2 seconds quicker than the previous fastest time. So a slightly faster heat as we move into heat number 4. And we have Switzerland in lane number 1. And right beside them we have the USA, Latvia, Denmark, Belgium, another Belgian crew, and with Boris Taaldeman in lane number 5, and of course another Greek crew to look forward to. And here they are already out there. They're at about 800 meters into this race, and it's very difficult to say anything worthwhile from this picture, because as you can see here, the Greeks storming through the picture here across a halfway mark. And that's also going to be a quick time, I reckon, based on that 1,000 meters time. So Greece ahead of the USA. Belgium actually quite close to them, and Latvia, Denmark, Switzerland, especially Denmark and Switzerland, more or less level at 1,000. But you can see the blue from the Greek crew here. And again, that's Giovanni Postiglione has a really great system. I think one of the strengths of that system is that you can look at any Greek crew at the under 19 or under 23 level, and you can see the technical model they're all working towards, and it's such a recognizable style. Greece well ahead of the USA here as we ride with the Danish and the crew from Latvia. So that's the two center lanes here, and Belgium just outside of the picture, but Belgium's just ahead of Latvia and Denmark at the moment.
It's going to be a great race for that second direct qualifying spot between USA, Belgium and Latvia. All very close, as you can see on your screen. Belgium and USA going back and forward for that second position, but Latvia still very much there. The Greek scullers, both medalists at under 19 level over the years. This will be their first time going for an under 23 medal, and they are fastest moving boat out there at the moment. Belgium putting on a little bit of a push here now, trying to get themselves ahead of USA here, who are currently in that third position. Yeah, Belgium starting to pull slightly away from them. They're up at 38. They're all similar, kind of between 36 and 38 strokes per minute when you look across all 6 crews.
Yeah, and I love the way this Greek double is so consistent. Like the women's double, it is consistency all round. They have been at 34 strokes a minute. I think that is their sort of ideal zone. If they're not really pushed, this is where they're most happy at and where they get most return out of the effort. As we watch the American crew going toe to toe here with the Latvians, precious little between those two crews. You can see how much it means to them. They really want to get to the finish line first. And the Belgians, I think they've closed down slightly on that Greek double. They've eaten a few meters into that Greek lead, but they are overrating them, as you can see on the graphic, by about 3 strokes a minute. So the Belgians really having to work for it, where the Greeks are cruising. But Latvia, the USA, going absolutely toe-to-toe. And behind them, Switzerland, I think, getting the better of the argument over the Danish double. But the Greeks look in top form, class of the field in this heat. Belgians, Boris Taaldeman in that strokes heat together with Lucas de Pla. Looking to their left, actually. They are looking at the Latvian crew, and good reason to, because that crew is absolutely flying.
They are absolutely flying indeed. Belgium responding, though. They are upping their speed here now as well. Greece holding off all the challenges, still holding on to 34, 35 strokes per minute here. Belgium are coming and starting to pull away from Latvia now once again. USA really fell off there into that 4th position and just actually had a little clash with each other, it looked like. But here is the winners, deservedly so, from Greece, taking the lead throughout that whole race and holding it off. Belgium in 2nd. That was a good response from Belgium there at the end, followed in by Latvia in 3rd.
Yeah, and I think the crew from the USA actually caught a little crab on the buoy line in the final few hundred meters, because they were very close to that all race long. And the Greek, you can see that it took a bit more out of them than we may have thought during the race. The combination from Greece, they did really, really well. And but they did have to work for it. And here's the official results. Greece, Belgium and Latvia ahead of the USA, Switzerland and Denmark. And that actually concludes, I think, this morning's racing. That was the last heat of the men's double. So we have a quick very brief review of the afternoon's program, which you can see here. We move into the bigger boats. Finally, after all the singles, doubles and pairs, from 5 minutes past 2 in the afternoon, we go to the fours.
We do. We have the women's 4, men's 4. We have the quadruple sculls in women's and men's, and then on to the 8s to round off the first day of competition here at the 2026 World Rowing Under 23 Championship. So racing kicks off at 14:05 local time here. So we'll be back with you about 5 minutes before that to restart our broadcast.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at 5 minutes past 2.